Hello and welcome, friends, as we are here to bring you the grand final action. We've been waiting for this moment for the Mid-American Conference ESC Spring Grand Finals for Overwatch. I am your caster, Rich Red, here alongside my collegiate co-caster, as per usual, Kenobi. I am excited to continue diving into even more collegiate. We've had much these last several weeks and only have more to bring for today.
I mean, it's the return of the Mac, and anytime that I can be here with you casting some Collegiate Overwatch, I will definitely take that opportunity, Rich. And we are set up today to have a banger of a series between these two. It's all to play for between these two teams in the Miami Redhawks and in Northeastern University. And with how it's shaped up so far in this season, it's definitely going to be a banger.
Absolutely. And, you know, with all these weeks that we have total, I mean, just thinking about it, 16 weeks accumulatively leading up to this moment. And it's just been an assortment of development. And also with these, you know, universities and these individuals playing, they've also been a part of the Collegiate Overwatch as well. So they've had plenty of opportunity to continue practicing, to working their way into this moment. But specifically for this sector, for the MAC, they're now looking to claim the title for their region. And with what we've had historically between these two teams, we already could say that one team has at least gotten a cut above the other.
Yeah, I mean, these teams did play each other earlier in the season on March 15th. It was a 3-1 win for Northeastern, so a little bit of redemption and revenge potentially coming in here for the Miami Redhawks. But these are two of the best teams that we have in this conference, right? They are 1 and 2 in terms of seeding. They've been running their way through the bracket pretty convincingly to get to this point. I think Northeastern is undefeated to this point as well. They were 12-0 in the group stages, now in the grand finals, and they have the chance to make themselves a perfect season. And then on the other side, you got Miami Redhawks trying to play spoiler.
Yeah, playing the spoiler indeed, and we've even had a chance to talk with you know, a few of the individuals, one from each team, just a little bit before going into the match today. But even just before we hop into that to actually get to hear their words, we had some discussion just about, you know, the bigger picture here and what they're feeling and what it means to them, and a couple of really comical jokes even about their roster and what they have, like some of their academics, and there's a variety of different things. And you know, with what we've seen historically and everyone committing into this, it's an exciting thing to see. Even though they might not have placed, let's say, as high in the national viewpoint, they're here to be able to still claim this type of title in their specific region, which is still something to hold your head high about when you're talking about, you know, among these 14 potential universities that are participating, as we can take a look at some of those 14 that were actually in the bracket for these playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see the other dominance that we've had from Northeastern Esports going through this bracket, right? 3-0ing Bowling Green, 3-0ing Ball State, who aren't slouches at all in terms of like where they are in the MAC conference. And on the other side, you've got the Miami Redhawks having a pretty good run themselves, losing that one game to Zips Esports, but now again going into that grand finals. That's really all that matters. Everything that you've done before doesn't matter at this point. Yes, it was Northeastern who beat Redhawks on March 15th. But that was a month ago. It's a totally different game potentially now for these two teams. So I am really excited to see this grudge match between two of the best that we have in the MAC conference.
And even just also to see what kind of uniqueness we can have coming out to this, because we know Miami, specifically Hard 8 historically, being one of those individuals to bring in compositions that are a little bit more wonky. We've talked about it even when, you know, we look at our previous tournament that we've been able to cast. Bellevue was one of those in a different region able Roadhog in and try to get value with it. We even saw it towards the later portions of the semis and grand finals with our bigger team names nationwide and putting those curveballs in here. And I wouldn't be surprised if Miami tends to do the same thing going in this against their opponent who has been on such a successful run.
I think one of the things that I was interested about Miami University was the fact that they're running like kind of these different compositions that you don't see like on Blizzard World. I remember yesterday they were running a lot of, when I was like, or not yesterday, when I was watching them yesterday kind of preparing for this, something that I was really interested in is they're playing a lot of ball compositions on like things like Blizzard World, which like if you remember from the national championship that we casted recently, Rich, it was like only things like double shield. Like this team doesn't seem to favor as much the double shield. It's more of like if they play Orisa, they play that diva more so than anything else in terms comboed along with that. So I think that this is going to be probably a potentially clash of styles here that we see between both of these teams, and which one comes out on top. Map selection I think is going to be incredibly important going into this series.
And with it being a best of 5 versus just a best of 3, that's also a significant factor in this too. You will be able to get to see a more long run format where they have an opportunity to potentially swap this back. And, since we've seen such throughout all of the playoffs, these longer games, it does put this uniqueness to the competitive play. It's not, earlier in the season or alternative seasons where it's just, hey, you take your first 2 wins, game over, it's done. So, but with that being said, we actually do have an opportunity to speak with one from each of their teams just before going into this grand finals. As I mentioned, we want to get their info. I had the chance to speak with them, so we'll be able to have that here for you just before we get into this amazing grand final matchup. Hello, my friends, and welcome. I am Rich Red here with both Hirsch and Fozix to ask them a few questions regarding the Overwatch ESC Mid-America Conference just before we get into this Grand Finals event. What does it mean to make it to the finals, and what would winning the championship mean to you and your team?
Well, obviously winning is our goal. We practice pretty hard. Usually every week we have a few scrim blocks here and there, do some VOD review with individual players and all that. I know a few players on the team that really want this championship, so getting that for them and also for the team is very important for me and also for the university.
This is probably one of my last tournaments, so time to bring in the finals and show what we've been working towards.
It is exciting to see what you've worked towards, and with this being a last opportunity to really compete, I know that's got to add a little bit of intensity to your specific play, but for your team. So we'll lead into the next one to still follow up with you, Hirsch. Can you tell us a little bit more about your team's season and the journey basically to this point into grand finals?
A couple of our guys, including myself, have had quite chaotic semesters just between school and work and stuff. One of our guys is doing something in nuclear reactor, so he's been on and off. Yeah, he's a really smart guy. So we're all trying to, honestly just balance our schoolwork and still try and give 100% to the team.
Well, I think our season's been pretty decent. We made top 16. Honestly, I think that's pretty good for us where we stand as a university. We don't really import crazy talent like other universities do, so making top 16 is pretty darn good for us.
Who has been the team's vocal leader, keeping everyone energized and focused throughout the matches?
Well, as of recently, I am the player coach now for this team, so I would say it's me. I make a lot of the decisions for out of game and in game as well. We do have a manager that makes scrims and stuff, but for at least comps and things, if I feel like I need to swap players in and out, I'll do that. For in-game shot calling, I have a very strange style of shot calling. I don't like heading or being the head of the shot calling. I like to include as many players as I can and getting them involved and making them talk and making them more comfortable playing.
Okay. And then now return to you, Hirsch.
We have an open planning sort of thing, so a lot of guys talk. Probably me, Timid, and Sklee are the most active in comms.
Fozzik, going into the grand finals prediction tonight, what do you think the scoreline is going to look like between you two? What do you think it's going to look like?
This best of 5, right?
Yes.
It'll be 3-2.
3-2. Okay.
One of the teams, yeah.
Okay. So giving some credit, they're not going to call 3-0. What about you, Hirsch? What were you thinking?
I want to be courteous and say 3-2, like you said, but I want to say it's going to be 3-0. I think realistically it's going to be more like 3-1, one of the teams.
Okay.
Don't know which, but obviously I gotta bring it. My school's gonna come out 3-0, but more realistically 3-1 somebody. I don't know.
So Fozzik's him thinking, 3-0. They're feeling that confident. Any kind of, retaliation to that line you have a little bit right now for them thinking they're that confident?
Well, the only reason why I say maybe we lose a few maps is because I do like swapping players in and out. I do like involving all the team if I can. So, if we do lose map 1, I'll make changes and then we can come back like that.
It was an awesome opportunity to hear some wonderful words from both of them. Definitely some spiciness towards the end of it. Want to be courteous, of course, but thinking there could be this 3-0 lined up for us since they've already managed to be able to take a previous week prior, as you mentioned, back on that 15th. So, Kenobi, I cannot wait to see how they're going to throw down right now. We've seen so much just exciting Overwatch these last several weeks on broadcast all across the country, and now get to specify this specific location and see who is going to be able to raise their hands in celebration and say that they are the champions of this MAC conference.
Yeah, and I really like kind of the emphasis that Fozix has put on the fact that he, like, they want to win still. They are, they were happy with their top 16 performance that they've had in the national championship, but they still really want to win this tournament. It's interesting as to me as well, that dynamic of like him being the player coach and kind of making those swaps. So that's definitely something to look out for as we go forward into this series. And I really did like Northeastern, kind of like Hirsch being like, I want to be courteous, it is going to be a 3-0, but I just want to, maybe give him a map, just like the homie map, right? Where it's like, we can't be that disrespectful to them because, this is a team that, let's remember, is undefeated. So they are very warranted of the confidence to be like, yeah, we're going to go in and we're going to try and 3-0. But with Fozix there, like the respect that Hirsch was putting on them.
And again, Fozix right at the end of it, still keeping such a poised characteristic answer of themselves as a leader, as a coach, saying, you know what, that if we do seem to, lose the map, it's something where that they will be able to focus, they'll be able to acclimate and adjust and make the swaps and change-ups that are necessary for them to take this win. And only time will tell over the course of this best of 5, and I am just absolutely excited to get into it, to see, especially like calling back to what you mentioned earlier, the types of compositions, what they're going to bring into this, since we have seen such a more predominant double shield meta, that this utility of the wrecking ball and this high mobility dive centric focusing on support lines as well. We'll take a look here at the rosters. Actually, we'll take a look at Northeastern first, and one of the really interesting thing is, because I got to have a few more minutes after that interview with them, where this is a group of individuals that are all in a STEM program. These are all hyper intellectual, like analytical individuals, where I even had to ask, like, how is that like communicating with one another? And their key emphasis from Hirsch was, it's like when you're thinking street smarts and book smarts, there's book smarts and Overwatch smarts. They're two different things.
They really are, and I think, that type of intelligence, I think, in a game like Overwatch really is important. I think one of the things that I also really like about this team is that when they make decisions as a unit. Like, this is a team of 6 players, plus their subs, who are just always on the same page. And I think specifically with what we're seeing in the current meta of Overwatch, you kind of have to come to be very good. And like, there are compositions that require that type of communication with each other, that require that type of just 6-man pack mentality. So that's definitely something to look out for going into this, is how Northeastern brings that, friendship outside of the game into the game as a unit.
And with this being Hirsch, as they mentioned, their last semester to really do so, they want to walk out with a win, a smile on their face. And another thing too is that they really focus on where there's a lot of universities. Of course, all universities across the country really like to discuss their hybrid when it comes to an academic standpoint, and then also the ability to play in this type of competitive scene for Overwatch. And every one of these individuals, and Hirsch, like they had mentioned, is that this is a university that, with them being like they said, a nuclear driven, I think it was nuclear physicist or one of those things, that it's like, you're talking about like high level of academics, and like with them still being able to maintain a workload like that and compete at this type of level is something really commendable, as we now get to take a look at the other side of the spectrum here, where we've also seen Miami University. They have been such a very dominant presence here as well. Fozix in their history, competitively, and also Heartache, the one who oversees and manages a lot of the collegiate space when it comes to, those in the ins and outs. Had to talk to them a couple of times. Even yourself, we've had a chance to mingle with them and see what kind of influence they have for this university.
And as well as like Fozix in his history, I think someone that's, relatively new to this team that I think is an incredible addition is Horthic. I think they're on that DPS role. Horthic is a very, has been to World Cup and things like that, right? This is a player who has been around Overwatch League not Overwatch League, but Overwatch for a very long time as a player. And I think is kind of flown under the radar. We used to be on Maryville as well, so has that kind of pedigree to them alongside Fozix, which I think for the rest of the players on this team is great to have. Like, having someone like Horthic and having someone like Fozix who have been around the block, so to speak, in terms of just Overwatch competitively, is great for, I think, any person kind of in a team with players like that.
And like I mentioned at the start, Heartache being kind of like the wrench in the mix, throwing out some unique characteristics. I cannot wait to see if we are going to be able to get a Roadhog out the gate, map 1, to throw in some spice here and put, Fozix in this position to say, all right, like, Heartache, I know you're going to play Roadhog. All right, maybe we should kind of reel it in a little bit. And even getting to speak with them further, where a really key thing is that they actually do have their arena that they've been playing in. So Miami University has been able to use that space with these players. And a really interesting just dynamic to having that physical space there again is Fozix commented on how a person of leadership being able to not just have to, in this case, when they were distant in their dorm or in their own locations, having to pay so much attention to vocal tone when needing to kind of, maybe let's say reel it in, let's bring down the energy a little bit and focus on what's at hand. They get to now actually see it in person. They see the body language. They see these kind of, just really, really key things that you can now acknowledge in person to say like, hey, like I got to start kind of evaluating now more than just what they're saying vocally and understanding like, hey, are they feeling really tense? Are they feeling, over aggressive? Like, are all these different new elements being brought in, being back in a physical space is a really, really intriguing dynamic as a coach now to have to start bringing back into the mix when you've had to do it remotely just only through vocal communication.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting aspect in terms of how they've gotten here. I think they are playing from home today specifically, so they don't necessarily have that ability to make those calls on the fly. But I think the thing about Fozix is that Fozix is very smart. I think that is one of the things that when he was in Overwatch League, I think people really caught on to was that Fozix has a really good, brain under that skull, very intelligent. And I think that he said in that interview, he said, if I am in a position where I need to make changes, he'll make changes. And I think being that player coach and having just that ability to say, kind of throw not objectivity to the wind, but just have that objective look is like, look, maybe this isn't working out. We got to switch it up. I think that's definitely something very, very important as we go into our first map of the day here. Rich, I cannot wait to get started. It's a finals of the MAC. We are here starting things off on Nepal, and this is, shaping up to be a banger of a series. Give me that 3-2.
It really is. It really is. We'll go to the end of it all with you friends that are tuning in as we do enter onto Village First, a map that can bring some uniqueness but also some exciting defensive holds in that narrow and small room underneath. 2 entranceways to see who will be able to get there first and hold the line for this round 1.
So you're seeing a bit of difference in terms of compositions already, where Redhawks are going to be opting in for this more brawly style where they're going to go directly to point. Not opting for the D.Va is an interesting decision for me because D.Va here would be very good for the sake of just having the ability to use Defense Matrix, and that's a nice bowl, and Neats is in a great position right now.
Yeah, Neats is continuing to just rain damage, especially being damage boosted by this Mercy from Timid, making sure that they have so much value with every rocket that lands. And now it's just going to be Miami having to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I think this is perfect scouting from Northeastern Esports right here, where they go in, they know that they have the ability with the ball and with the Farah concussive grenades to create a lot of disruption, and a composition like this for Miami Redhawks likes to stay in those enclosed areas like a unit, but if Northeastern is in a good position to just start pulling those threads, make it a little bit more loose, it's a lot more difficult, and you see CGS has opted in to go over to the Cassidy to put a little bit of pressure on this Farah and this Mercy, because with the other part of the composition, they just didn't have that.
And the other dynamic, too, is not only, of course, focusing on the Farah, but it also gives a little bit of agency to try and manage Squeak with that flashbang, the crowd control, getting the stun. Great pickup, though, onto Scoop. Now you're solely relying on Timid to keep this team alive, but there's no way that they can spread across. Beautiful flashbang to counter the rocket barrage for any recovery. And this will be now Miami taking it back.
Yeah, and this is just off the back of perfect adaptation from Miami Redhawks, right? They bring in the D.Va, they bring in the Cassidy, they're like, look, the pharmacy is not going to be able to get as much value because we have that pressure now onto you. So now the shoe's going to be on the other foot a little bit. Can Northeastern make some adaptations? Look like they're sticking on the Farah, so again, going to be watching for CCR plays and for CGS to continuously pressure that Farah, not let them free farm and spam into that backline.
And with a little bit of contention underneath with that Tracer play from Woe, seeing if they can draw some of that high ground position. Glee gets a great pile drive early onto the hit scan, giving more freedom for Needs to do their work, especially with a Valkyrie to sustain. Northeastern does still lose 2 in this, but with the res, gets them back up in numbers, and Glee will just be able to regroup while they take it back and away from Miami with these final couple of picks.
Yeah, now, it's all about stalling here for Miami, trying to get as much percentage as you possibly can, but with Orphic being forced off the point, that's going to be switching back over to Northeastern. Miami Redhawks, though, coming back in, have a couple of key ultimates to work with. More than a couple. It's a nice handful for them. But I think what Northeastern Esports did there was really well, where they send Sklee in, put pressure themselves onto the Cassidy, and now Miami Redhawks come back in. They have the high noon, so they can create space and force Neats and Timid away from an area where they can continuously spam down and just go for that 6v4.
And you can see just them hovering and floating over that rooftop as that beautiful pile drive comes in. Self-destruct tossed in. Does it manage to get many, but it still hits Jaybird, a vital member of Miami, no longer having the sound barrier, and once again, really stifling any sort of ability for Miami to push in.
And I think that's fantastic for Northeastern Esports right there, going aggressively, knowing that you're at somewhat of a disadvantage, and now look at how aggressive Northeastern is being. Here comes the trance, it saves everyone!
Just keeping Verge alive, so they aren't going to get DMX, so they still have some competition, but in the back line, there's a back door coming in to make sure that they can swap it to at least cause some confusion in how they want to get back into this, but there is a contention now. It's Northeastern in a prime position to be able to take this first round. Sklee is there with the rest of the army, as now the overtime will dwindle. No one from Miami can even get there fast enough, and that's a very convincing round one, despite the 44 going in favor of Miami.
And I think this was really good for Northeastern. I mean, Miami Redhawks, I think, did a very good job understanding how to swap and swap quickly. I think that's, again, some of the smarts coming in from Phozix, you know, with the experience that they have. But I think one of the things that was really good about Northeastern Esports there was they understood, like, as this, to, like, stay on this composition, we have to pressure out something like the Cassidy, you know, take him out aggressively. We have to be the ones who are going on the full throttle in terms of the tempo and going first, and you saw they were at such an ultimate disadvantage, but the fact that they were playing at that high tempo caught Miami Redhawks completely off guard, and that's how you circumvent ultimate disadvantage like that. And as we go now over to Sanctum as our second map, again, Northeastern Esports sticking to more of that ball composition. I think it's going to be very good against something like Miami Redhawks, where they want to be playing more of this brawl, and the disruption is going to be there. They have to play a little bit more slowly, though, because they have the Sombra. You need that EMP to just secure yourself.
And we will be able to see how well Neats can perform in this because it is so vital in what they play in this competition. Timid goes down early. Miami just rolls into this with this composition and just throttles Northeastern to have to go back into their spawn.
And this is just very smart from Miami Redhawks. They hit tab, they know a Sombra and a Tracer's on the other side, so that means basically the three members of Hirsch, Timid, and Scoop are just free for the taking. You can speed onto them, teleport onto them as a six-man, and they can't really play the game, so very well played from Miami Redhawks here, who now have a lot of space to work with and can just hold these chokeholds and continue to improve that percentage.
And the chokehold is going to be of much benefit, but this is an instant swap from Northeastern. They've acknowledged this isn't going to work now with this aggression forward, continuing to blitz, gets the pick onto Scoop. What a well-timed immortality field from Phozix as well to make sure that they can sustain through the damage. And CGS is just vaporizing anyone that comes close.
Yeah, I mean, that's knowing your limits as a Baptiste player right there. And while the Fair, you know, was trying to contest on the other side, it's just these lonely two members, and that should be a secured fight win for the Miami Redhawks here, again, who are playing this composition so incredibly well. And Northeastern Esports are going to have to think about how they're going to brute force their way through this chokehold, because you're coming up on Minefield, which is good for creating space. You're coming up on Gravitic Flux, which is good as well. But on the other side, Miami Redhawks have ultimates of their own to work with.
Northeastern's got to have some significant pads to barrel their way through this defensive position. Immortality field and Photon barrier committed, able to get Sklee in the back, who's locked down by the grab from CCR, and will now continue to punish any sort of entry from Northeastern.
Oh, and with Hirsch going down, I mean, there's no shield now, so now the spam is completely free for the Miami Redhawks, who are just continuously taking up this percentage. Horthic is on an absolute tear right now on this Tracer, and Miami Redhawks able to sustain a little bit longer. And by the time Northeastern gets back into this, I mean, they're going to have a pulse bomb of their own, they're going to have a Farah barrage, but we're at 80%, and look how aggressive Miami's being.
And they have every right to be. At this point now, it's gonna be all on Sklee to get into the back, which they're doing to swap it over, since it is such an aggressive position by Miami. Vapor commits now that sound barrier, and you've got Phozix going down. A little bit of discombobulation on this recontention back to the point. They've taken it back, but this is a little bit rough for them as a very aggressive shatter comes in. Miami might just flame it.
Yeah, I think this is definitely on Miami right now, right here. It's all about Northwestern getting back onto the point, trying to live another day and continue these fights as much as they can. Hirsch gets rest, but Woe is taken down.
Miami still buying some time, but with Woe eliminated, you don't have any more harassment to couple with Sklee. They are just being picked off one by one. The concussion rocket from Neats doesn't get enough distance to pick them off towards the end of that cliff. This will now be a 1-to-1 round score, and I'm in for it now, Kenobi. I think we've got a series on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes back and forth like it did in these first 2 rounds, we're definitely in for a map 5 or potentially even map 6er. You know, you could go the complete distance here between these 2 teams, because I think the first round was perfectly played from Northeastern in their adaptation, and then Miami Redhawks on the second map were just like, oh, you want to continue to play ball into us in a map that like favors this rush style? Good, we're just going to rush over the backline. You don't have anything to stop us. What are you going to do? And they just continuously kept their foot on the gas, making it difficult for Northeastern Esports. Now on this map, it's going to be a little bit more tricky because it is more of that open map, right? Pharah gets a lot more value, Ball gets a lot more value in situations like this. So Miami Redhawks, if they can continue that adaptation they had from Sanctum going into this map of Shrine, then they have a chance of winning this first map.
And it puts a lot onto CGS, once again, with this McCree, because of that elevated position, the Pharah being accessible here for Northeastern to utilize in this open space as they rotate around, utilizing Jaybird's mobility, nice aggression forward, but again, Neat's still in the distance on the outskirts, raining damage, hitting these direct rockets over and over again, and also having Scoop with this Discord to ensure that when they do land, it's a critical mass type of position to be in. Miami does still have presence on this point, but they do not feel comfortable going into so much spam.
They are weathering the storm, though, but that's a nice pile driver onto the backline. Forces out Immortality Field. That's a big cooldown.
And what a great response to eliminate the Immortality Field, but with Scoop going down, that gives massive agency here for Miami. And to find Woe as well, CGS comes in super clutch to make sure that they are getting so much value on the Cassidy.
Yeah, I mean, that was all Kabunga there on the Reinhardt, making a absolute hero play. Just knowing Scoop is a little bit vulnerable in a position and just rushes at them as a Reinhardt. There's nothing really Scoop could do. And Miami Redhawks, but for them, it's about weathering the storm, and they did a phenomenal job. Now they have to weather the storm against this barrage coming in from this Pharah on Neats. But look at Horthic. He's on the flank trying to look for something.
Ooh, Horthic, though, has been easily caught out. Has to drop down below and opt for the health pack. Sklee, once again, looking for that harassment onto the back line. Did get rocket barrage now as well and goes down. Takes a single player down. CGS is valuable, but this is still Miami playing this really, really well. The sound barrier given by Jaybird allows him to have a lot more fortification to survive through the damage. That shield and timing, though, from Northeastern was impeccable for Woe to get it just as the shield vanishes.
Yeah, I mean, big play as well, because CCR was going to have that Graviton Surge to work with, and this was flipped over to Northeastern, so now it's just about them securing these kills and taking as much percentage as possible. Now this gets a little bit more tricky for Miami Redhawks here coming into this next fight, because you're walking through chokeholds against so much spam and the ability for Sklee to just bowl into you and hit that minefield. In any of these enclosed areas, minefield is going to wreck Miami Redhawks.
Ooh, minefield right to the side. What a knockback as well with the concussion mine overhead from Neats to synergize with the minefield. But even though they do get a nice opportunity, a lot of the minefields don't get the takedowns, but Neats and Woe sure will.
I mean, they don't get the takedowns, but they zone so well. Like, they force out Immortality Field. There's really nothing Miami Redhawks could do in that situation besides just retreat, but they couldn't because of all the disruption. And now Northeastern have overtaken Miami Redhawks in terms of that percentage. And Redhawks, though, coming back in, again, Graviton Surge is available to them. Because of how split this competition for Northeastern is, you probably just have to take one.
Yep, they're going to go right for Sklee as the single player, but in consequence, CCR goes down from the self-destruct on Hirsch. Now Remect is back in their prime. They've got a still 5-number advantage here over 3, but Miami has one last real chance to get back into this with it being at that 70% mark.
Oh, and actually, with taking down Horthic, I think this is definitely going to secure this as last fight. Sklee is just a menace in the backline. The shatter hits Neats! He's toe low to the ground!
Oh, but the defense matrix was there along with the coverage from both Timid and Scoop, so they get out scot-free and are approaching this barrage.
Oh, they're waiting so patiently. 84% though, and taking up here, Rich. Woe is able to find CGS. That's a big pick. That means there's no Cassidy and no High Noon.
This is detrimental. It's going to be a 6 versus 5 in these last 10 seconds. Now with Sklee going down, it's a 5 versus 5 actually. This gives an opportunity because the timer is a little bit more favoring for Miami to get CGS in the back because they have the High Noon. They'll be able to gain some value from a distance, but the pulse bomb onto Scoop is going to spell even further trauma with Timid falling as well. You've got Miami Redhawks coming back into this and still holding on to that Deadeye and soon to have the self-destruct.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic pressure as well, knowing that Neats is kind of the win condition for Northeastern Esports, and Miami Redhawks are focusing him so hard. There are 3 heroes on Miami Redhawks that can realistically deal with that Pharah, and Neats is having a rough time at this point. Now, the Barrage is really the win condition that Northeastern Esports has going into this, but you're going up against a High Noon, you're going up against a Defense Matrix and a Self-Destruct. It's very hard to get in a position as a Pharah for this to hit pay dirt.
Oh, Rocket Barrage comes in, actually finds Fozix, who jumped mid-air, but Neats goes down. You're so reliant on Jaber. Oh no, this is actually CGS coming in big. They've managed to turn this. What a spectacular demonstration of clutch factor. When you lose Fozix like that, that's a fight loss in most people's books. But with CGS coming out on this Cassidy and popping off with the 6-shooter, they bring it now to their final fight.
Oh, and the stagger onto her. She's not going to be here for this fight, so this is going to be just stall tactics right now for Northeastern Esports. They have to get to this point. They're going to have a Transcendence to work with in terms of sustainability. Orthic needs to find something big with this Pulse.
Oh, gets squeezed solo. Is there the follow-through? Oh no, CGS gets the takedown with the Deadeye onto Neats. This is just absolutely falling to the wayside here for Northeastern. Miami coming in, doing everything imaginable in the tail.
Mercy!
The pin onto Timmin. They've lost it. Scoop now also taken down by the Judgment Hammer up front. This will be Miami coming out despite losing round 1, saying, we've bred you, we've adapted to you, and now we will take this first map and put us up by 1 score.
Miami Redhawks not making sure that Northeastern have to make that respect work out for them, because this is a moment where they are not saying we're not going to get 3-0'd. And I mean, I don't know if it was on purpose, but Fozix kind of body blocked that entire barrage, like with his face and like with his life for it, but it did end up kind of working out for them because there was so much just damage that didn't actually end up going through before the barrage came out. So really well played again from the Miami Redhawks. Again, the adaptation, I love what they did with it in terms of just like knowing that the Pharah is the win condition on the other side. We can play this brawl style of composition, bring in a Cassidy, bring in a Diva, bring in a Baptiste, and the Pharah isn't going to be able to just free farm, and making sure that that win condition is not on the table for Northeastern makes it a lot harder for Northeastern to win.
The coach, the leader, the general, among the line with their fellow comrades saying, I will take the blow.
Yeah, I mean, that was very just like, fight on, my men, Sir Andrew said, for I am not yet slain. You know, it was very like that type of beat where it's like, look, I will take the bullet for the rest of you to live as the general.
And, you know, it sets a precedence right now. This first map being in grand finals gives them such a morale boost, and it gives them that extra fire to know that, all right, so we lost round 1, friends. We really didn't know how this was going to turn out. We've seen previously that they've managed to outmatch us and take this. We have to get this map, and we have to show them that this is not going to be what they discussed in that interview, and not going to give us just a kindness pity map. We want to be the one to be able to show dominance here.
I mean, that was also the first time throughout this bracket so far that Northeastern has dropped a map. So they're in a bit of a precarious position at the current moment. I mean, they did drop that map previously about a month ago on March 15th to Redbirds, but at this point it's like, okay, yeah, we like, this is where you have to, if you're Northeastern, be like, okay, you know, reset, sit up in your chair, you know, grab the keyboard and mouse a little bit harder right now than you were a little bit before, because you still, like, you are in jeopardy right now. Momentum is a huge thing, especially in grand finals, and now we have to see Northeastern fight back from a position we haven't seen them throughout the previous parts of this bracket.
And with what they've talked about in strategics, and also just their ability to go into their next map selection, I think is something that's really going to give them agency, because as the loser from this first map, they get to go into a map that they feel confident with, and it is going to be Havana. Now, when we talk about Havana, you and I have seen an assortment of things happen, whether it's a full hold at point 1, or they get all the way to that drawbridge at the very end of it and go for a completion. So it could really be anyone's game with what we've seen competitively, but at least, as we've commented, and we will probably say it on multiple occasions because it's very true, there is now the morale boost from getting that first map, and at this point they are just going to want to hold as long as they can, because we've got Miami now on the defense here as well.
And that tells me that Miami will most likely go for like one of those close holds that we see on Havana. I'm a big fan of it. I think Havana defenses should always be usually having those close holds, because even if you lose the fight, you're just taking so much time off the clock and guaranteeing yourself a second fight. If you fight kind of at corner, you are at risk of just losing one fight and then losing the map completely. And I think this is a map where this does, I mean, at least in the first 2 parts, you can play more of that rush style if you're Miami Redhawks. If you're Northeastern University or Northeastern Esports at this point, the fact that they're going to Havana, you know, potentially want to bring back the ball, potentially want to bring out some long-range hit scan, I think is something that thrives on a map like this. So we'll have to see what these compositions bring, or what these compositions are going to be as we go into Havana.
Oh, it's exciting. We can see now the start of a potential upset, but only time will tell. It's early, friends. The story is still being written. As we can take a look now at Miami and their defensive composition, it will be a also adjustment here for the tank line as well, so that they can have now with this Reinhardt Diva selection, but we're still going to keep value with CGS on this McCree, which really is a huge factor for Miami.
Yeah, I think on Cassidy specifically, when you are playing against a composition like this, you have a lot of survivability because of, you know, the fact that you have 225 health. It slots really well into brawly types of compositions like this, and again, it does put that pressure onto Neats and onto Timid, but also offers you a little bit of CC to deal with Sklee, who, if there is no CC, can kind of just bowl over your team and make it a little bit more difficult for Miami Redhawks to really stay as a unit of 6, which you want to do. You want to be in close so that the AoE healers are getting that value. That's already a nice couple of 3 shots from CGS on this Cassidy. Like, this is the pressure that Neats is going to have to continuously deal with.
I mean, Neats is just not having a good time right now on this far up play. The more that CGS finds themselves in their element, couple of great early takedowns, especially with Sklee and Scoop going down, and this is just going to dwindle the time bank here and put Northeastern into a position to have to rethink their engagement.
And I mean, you can see that like Northeastern have an idea of like how to win. They need to try and take down CGS, and they're focusing him pretty hard. Orthic, though, dealing with this Tracer in the back line. He's getting 1v2'd right now, gets out with 50 health.
Oh, but you won't last when there is a pile drive on top of you, and there was not a quick enough response to give the assistance. What a flashbang to bring down Neats. It's a hope and a dream for them to be able to keep this defense, but it's still a worthwhile one, getting at least 60 seconds off this time bank.
Yeah, I mean, taking 60 seconds off is definitely something you'll hang your hat on if you're Miami Redhawks in this situation. Northeastern Esports, now it's really up to them to win a secondary fight here. They have a pulse bomb to work with, which is going to be important. You can throw that into the back line, and even if you aren't getting a kill necessarily, you can potentially force out Immortality Field, and then the rest of your team can follow up on that damage. And CGS is coming in with that High Noon, and we know High Noon does wonders against Pharmacy Comms.
Nice pile drive early in the back by Sklee. Does get an elimination with the assistance of Woe on the pulse bomb. That will once again be a lightning fast pickup here for Northeastern, and despite the early hold and defenses, if they can continue to get these takedowns, this should completely change the fact that they did reduce that minute.
But I mean, throughout all of that, Orthic was actually on cart stalling it, so while the fight is going to be a win for Northeastern Esports, they still do have to take another fight because of where the cart was and where it was stalled at, and Miami Redhawks can come back into this. Look at them, they have a self-destruct, they have a sound barrier to work with. It's going to be very hard, and still that with that High Noon, it's going to be very hard unless Northeastern catch them off guard with where Neats is and trying to get this barrage. It will be very hard for this Pharmacy to get a lot of value.
And you can see how hidden they're playing. The concussion rocket almost gets them into a position that they felt confident with, but has to actually abandon ship here. The Immortality Field is expended, and that's going to be a go button, but CGS with the assistance from Spencer allow them to remove Neats from this, and still not able to unleash that pocket barrage for them to get value.
I mean, this is numbers right now in favor of Miami Redhawks. Sklee goes in for the pile driver, but gets stunned and gets absolutely obliterated by the rest of the team. And now Northeastern have to retreat because with only a minute and 30 seconds here, Rich, they're in very big jeopardy of getting full health, especially if you look at the ultimates Miami Redhawks are having coming into this. They have a 6-pack. Now they are using one of them to kind of get rid of that curse. The pulse bomb comes out as well from Orthic. Doesn't find anything, but just takes more time off the clock.
Still 4 in the back pocket, waiting to see how much more of the wallet they want to toss at their enemy as a flux comes in by Hershko, lands onto 2, but Jaybird is there to get the sound barrier out in time. Actually falls into the minefield despite the defenses from Jaybird. So with that couple of early picks, the res comes out now onto screen. Northeastern unleashing the barrage onto 2, manages to take the numbers advantage again. They just have to focus down the remaining 2 and should be able to complete it.
And I mean, once these fights kind of devolve into the scenario where it's just like picks happening every which way and Miami Redhawks get split up a bit, that's really where Northeastern Esports thrives. And I wonder if they do make any changes going into Distillery, which they are going to be able to do so, putting Neats onto that Hanzo, I think this is a great decision. Offers a little bit more of that shield break and pick potential, long-range damage, which rush compositions usually struggle with, but they do have to be wary of just getting completely rushed up.
Squeeze way in the back, goes to the pile drive, a little bit separated. Earthshatter comes up, though, in the front and plays aggressively. You can look for this beautiful pin up top on the stairways. Kabunga is going to be feeling pretty confident coming into this second stage, though, with a dominant play like that.
Again, really loving the aggression. They see Skleek go in, with the bull. They know that now is the moment where they don't have to really worry about any type of CC stopping Miami Redhawks from just rushing on to Northeastern Esports, and it's a wonderful shatter from Kabunga. I think they've definitely figured out that Neats is someone that they have to be wary of, and they are focusing them down. Forthicure waiting patiently, looking for something with that pulse bomb. Finds the enemy tracer, though. Can they find maybe potentially the Mercy or the Zen?
And look at Fozix just reading that positioning to the right communications to keep Forthic alive for these consistent engagements and still fueling this front line, not even having to force it out. There's the pulse bomb, like you mentioned, onto Scoop, who does force out the res from Tinded, separating them just slightly away from Sklee, so they are low, but that Valkyrie should be able to get them back into this quickly as Woe gets the better end of Horthic that time around, even though Horthic has been, doing quite a great job at looking for these opportunities and engagements. Fozix keeping some sustainability to the outskirts, and this is just a very, very long run skirmish between the two that's still actually lending in favor of Miami.
That was also Fozix's second amplification matrix in that fight. Fozix has been doing such a phenomenal job on this Baptiste, and Northeastern only a minute left in their time bank, and again, love the aggression and high tempo play that I'm seeing from Northeastern here. Look at them go so aggressive.
Spencer, oh my, gets the Discord and says, all right, friends, maybe I'll back off a little bit. I don't need to be up there because 60 seconds remain now. This is the opportunity for Northeastern to try and step it up.
You can see, Sklee's already gone, so I don't think Northeastern can take this fight now, and Miami Redhawks are totally fine. Again, just taking that time off the clock. You can see CGS has the high noon. Also, the sound barrier is going to be there for Jaybird, so they can match the sustainability of the Transcendence, but none of that might matter if you can see Horthic just getting an assassination in that backline so close to that pulse.
This adjustments now from Neats onto the Hans, though, as a desperate selection into it. Oh, Kabunga gets scooped, 25 seconds. There is a sound barrier
CGS
as well, but we're sorry, CGS. You're going back to spawn, but your sacrifice is worth it. First, it was Fozix in the control map, but CGS sacrificed alone in the back as there's only 10 seconds to go with Miami in a positive position.
Yeah, I mean, and they're walking into Ant Matrix as well. You can see Hirsch has gone over to the Diva just to offer a little bit more sustainability on that point. Transcendence still available here for Scoop.
Transcendence now, when is it going to be dropped? I can definitely see Horthic hyper-focusing, but first they're going to take down Neats all alone in the back. There's no one close to give assistance as you have CGS getting a second onto Woe. This just starts to fall apart in the home stretch of this distillery where Northeastern Esports is only able to pass the doorway and finds themselves being crippled before moving that payload any further.
And I mean, I think the DPS of Redhawks have played absolutely phenomenally so far. I think Horthic and CGS have both really stuck it to the DPS of Northeastern Esports, where even when they're on the Pharaoh, when they're switching off, I mean, Horthic has been a complete menace in the TVT 1v1. I think Woe is continuously being checked and not letting Woe, get into the backline, be that mosquito pest of a tracer that can really make Jaybird and Fozix's life miserable. So really, hats off to me coming in from the DPS as well, as I think Fozix, when he's given this space and given this time and safety, you can see he's farming 2 Ant Matrixes in a fight. He's doing very, very well, like the rest of the Miami Redhawks.
To build a little bit, it's more like Woe is the mosquito, and then Horthic is just the Queen Hornet, where I'm just gonna come at you, and I am not gonna leave you alone. Just
big fly swatter energy coming in from Horthic right now.
Absolutely. As we do.
It's one of those electric ones too, where it's like you know for sure when you hit the mosquito, you've hit that mosquito and it's not coming back.
It's the same sound effect when you get a Widowmaker headshot. It's just it just hits right. It just hits right, Kenobi. It's even got like a score screen that you can upload onto the internet.
Oh man, that's actually a $1 billion idea, like mosquito medals. Like, hey, today I got golden mosquito kills with it, or fly swatter kills.
Could you imagine that being all over the internet? Oh my! We'll start now. We'll get that patented. As we're gonna look to see now. 4 minutes to go. The attacking side here for Miami Redhawks. They've set the goalpost on the defensive side and looking to kick the ball into the corner.
I mean, you can see Miami Redhawks, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, continue with this brawler style of composition. The one difference, CGS is going to be on that Hanzo, matching a little bit more of that long-range potential against Neats. Also, again, Sklee has to be very careful, but so does Neats. Neats gets taken down immediately. There's no mercy, there's no res, and this is a moment where Miami Redhawks can go aggressive.
This is all opened up now just by that pick. There is now, for once, what we haven't seen before, Horthic being the dominant one. Whoa, steps up and comes in. Neats now opted to go onto the Sombra play, adjusting, not wanting to stick to this Hanzo v Hanzo play. Spencer also continuing to dive and stick close his D-Mech, but while they're losing some value, CGS is gaining alternative value elsewhere.
And I mean, Fozzik is still alive along with Jaybird, so the healing is still available for Miami Redhawks, but they have to be careful. Kabunga is getting so low.
Oh, Kabunga is still being held alive.
Horthic.
Support lines have been absolutely dominant, and Horthic now saying, all right, I may not have gotten you well that time, but I'm sure as heck going to be looking for your back line, scooping it up indeed. CGS also just working so well in tandem with Horthic, finally gets eliminated from Spleet, and I gotta say, despite these kills going back and forth between the teams, Northeastern is still dwindling quite a bit of time on this.
Yeah, I mean, they are taking a lot of time off. Respawn is going to be a little bit in the advantage of Miami Redhawks here, but the cart hasn't been moving that much during these fights. Woe is coming back with the Pulse Bomb. Horthic has one of their own, can stick it onto either Brigitte or Zenyatta and secure those kills.
Could potentially force out the transcend. Oh, CGS just comes in big. Just comes in big with the storm arrows. Lightning from up above as a shatter lands instantly onto Timid. They don't even need the pulse bomb to get the value. They've got everything else to do so. Sklee left alone, bouncing around between the rock and a hard place. That's a car and a wall. And this is a checkpoint reached with quite a healthy time bank.
I mean, this performance on DPS from CGS this map has just been unreal. Like, Neats hasn't been able to play the game of Overwatch. Neither has any of the Northeastern Esports players, it feels like, because CGS is just on a complete rampage. It's a bit of a sticks differential right now as Miami Redhawks are moving forward, and they only need to win one fight to secure a 2-0 lead in the series.
Yep. 2-0 lead is going to put a major level of excitement just over their shoulders. Got 4 minutes now underneath Sklee, looking to regroup in the back. This minefield ready to be dropped defensively, but look at how close they are already, Kenobi.
Woe is looking for something in the back line. Minefield comes out, doesn't manage to find anything, but zones a few members away.
Yeah, they don't really have the opportunity to take that high ground balcony position, but the Dragon Strike from underneath Timid and Scoop force out both support ultimates here. But you're going to have the Pulse come in and deny, and there's an Eat as well from Spencer. Whoa! Can't get any value against this team time and time again. Northeastern is being dismantled for the moment as Miami continues to round the payload, clip off the remaining few, and that will be a completion here. Even though there's a subtle attempt for Needs to touch, there is no way you're staying here that long.
I mean, this was, you know, Fozzik came into this in that interview saying, like, this is going to be a 3-2. With how those first two maps went, this might just be a 3-0 for Miami Redhawks. This has been just incredible play coming out from them with how aggressive they've been, how the DPS are playing absolutely out of their mind. I think Horthic and CGS have been playing so impeccably well, and that six-man kind of mentality we talked about that Miami Redhawks had is really coming to the fruition. I think that the shot calling has been absolutely fantastic from them. This has just been what you need in a grand finals like this, and we're in a position where Northeastern has not been before. They're down 0-2 and have to now reverse sweep this series, and with how Redbirds are playing, man, is Northeastern going to need like the best Capri Sun and Orange Slices at halftime, because they need to really just step it up.
Yeah, this Northeastern squad is going to have to dig deep and try to inspire themselves, let and unleash the pack within them to be able to turn this around. But we will be heading to a brief break before entering into that third map to see if there is a possible reverse sweep, to see if Miami can be shut down. But they've put themselves in a position of dominance. So don't go anywhere, friends, because we'll be seeing that action in just a moment.
Impressive. Northeastern is being. Here comes the transit, saves everyone.
Just keeping Hersh alive so they aren't going to get DMX, so they still have some competition. But in the back line, there's a back door coming in to make sure that they can swap it to at least cause some confusion in how they want to get back into this. But there is a contention now. It's Northeastern in a prime position to be able to take this first round. Sklee is there with the rest of the army, as now the overtime will dwindle. No one from Miami can even get there fast enough, and that's a very convincing round one despite the 44 going in favor of Miami.
And I think this was really good for Northeastern. I mean, Miami Redhawks, I think, did a very good job understanding how to swap and swap quickly. I think that's, again, some of the smarts coming. If you aren't getting a kill necessarily, you can potentially force out Immortality Field, and then the rest of your team can follow up on that damage. But CGS is coming in with that High Noon, and we know High Noon does wonders against Pharmacy Powers.
Nice pile drive early in the back by Sklee. Does get an elimination with the assistance of Low on the pulse bomb. That will once again be a lightning fast pickup here for Northeastern. And despite the early hold and defenses, if they can continue to get these takedowns, this should completely change the fact that they did reduce that minute.
But I mean, throughout,
you're solely relying on Timon to keep this team alive, but there's no way that they can spread across. Beautiful flashbang to counter the rocket barrage for any recovery.
Inability. Vorthig needs to find something big with his pulse.
Oh, gets Sklee solo. Is there the follow through? Oh no, CGS gets the takedown with the Deadeye on Tanit. This is just absolutely falling to the wayside here for Northeastern. Miami coming in, doing everything imaginable in the tail.
Mercy!
The pin on to Timon. They've lost it. Scoop now also taken down by the Judgment Hammer up front. This will be Miami coming out despite losing round one, saying, we've bred you. We've adapted to you, and now we will take this first map and put us up by one score.
Miami Redhawks not making sure that Northeastern have to make that respect work out for them, because this is a moment where they are not saying we're not going to get 3-0'd. And I mean, I don't know if it was on purpose, but Fozix kind of body blocked that entire barrage, like with his face and like with his life for it, but it did end up kind of working out for them because there was so much just damage that didn't actually end up going through. I am really excited to see this grudge match between two of the best that we have in the MAC conference.
And even just also to see what kind of uniqueness we can have coming out to this, because we know Miami, specifically Hard8 historically, being one of those individuals to bring in compositions that are a little bit more wonky. We've talked about it even when, you know, we look at our previous tournament that we've been able to cast. Bellevue was one of those in a different region able Roadhog in and try to get value with it. We even saw it towards the later portions of the semis and grand finals with our bigger team names nation.
The only shot I prepared is sitting in the bush and Axel.
Welcome back, gamers. We're here, and we are looking forward to seeing how this is going to shake out. We were looking for a long day after how the first control map went. 1 point, then finally going in favor of Miami. But that second map, Kenobi, was absolutely dominant, and hoping that in this next map, which we have confirmation is actually going to be Blizzard World, we're hoping that maybe Northeastern is able to switch this up.
Am I muted? No, I was muted.
Oh
my
no,
God.
it's okay.
You know what? See, the thing is, here's the thing. That hasn't happened to me in so long that I was finally due for one. It's been
overdue.
like years since I've had them.
It was overdue.
But anyway, what I was saying, as you could see my lips moving but couldn't hear me talk, is that one of the things that we're on with Northeastern University here is that they have been not in this position at all, right? This has been a team that has not lost yet, by the way. They are 12-0 in the group stages. They are 3-0, 3-0 getting to this final, and now they're down 0-2. And like I said before the break, the Capri Sun and Orange Slices better be the best Capri Sun and Orange Slices they've ever had, because they have to win 3 maps off the trot to get to another championship.
They need to make sure that they freeze their Capri Suns. Just so that they can...
No, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. We did this already.
We did this already.
And
it's
I think this is
We're
sacrilege.
in a different region. We're in a different region. We have to let them know. We should have to let them know, too. You should freeze your Capri Suns. Spoon and all.
Just have an otter pop. Why does it, like, why do you need to freeze
You're not wrong.
Just have an
You're
otter
not
pop.
wrong.
Just have an otter pop.
Any sort of
Be a normal guy. Have an otter pop.
You know what? I will do that. I will go to the store and get an otter pop. But, you know, hopefully we've got some chilling changes coming up here between these two, because something's got to give. And Miami, they have really just absolutely stepped up their game. And for as, you know, reserve as Fozix was in that interview saying, you know, 3-2, not underestimating their competition, they have really been able to step up and evolve going into today after the time that they've been fighting against one another. Again, March 15th, that's a long time. That is almost a solid month worth of growth and development over these 16 weeks. And Miami has really elevated themselves. And as Fozix mentions, coming into this leadership and coaching role, I think is something that's super substantial. And you even touched on it too, Kenobi, where they're actually playing back on a role that they are very superior at.
Yeah, I mean, they're known for mostly their support play, you know, coming from the Overwatch League. They, beforehand, were, sometimes on more of that flex DPS role. Like last year when we were watching them in the National Championship, that's really what they were at. But now going more over to that comfort. And, I mean, if you're going to forego that position on the team and you're, and you're, like, you know, going up with something like Horthic, bringing in someone like CGS who've been playing out of their minds, like, I'd be totally fine to forfeit my position as a DPS, going back to something I'm more comfortable with DPS who are playing that well. This has been a team, by the way, last time that they played, it was 3-1. Northeastern has not lost 2 games in a series ever this season.
Ooh, boy. As we now look to this again to see, we have this defensive position here that's going to be Miami Redhawks coming out with the more ball and Sigma play. And we're actually going to get to see CGS on this Ashe play. So that'll be really exciting to see how they come out now, being the first time we get to feature them, at least on the broadcast today, from what they've played in their hero pool.
And, I mean, this is, like, a map that does favor a lot of these long-range hit scan, long-range DPS. You know, you can see Neats is on the other side going over towards that Hanzo. Again, we're going to see a bit of difference from Miami Redhawks here. This is a look that we haven't seen from them. It's been mostly that brawl style of composition, but playing that on a map like this that's so open, unless you're going into third, is a little bit difficult. So, again, I'm going to be looking out for CGS on this Ashe. Can they find Pater with these dynamites? You can see one already going in. Not going to find the most damage that they would like there, but with the difference we have in kind of compositions here, you're going to be looking out for as well Kabunga. How are they going to be able to get into that back line? Oh my lord, Neats. That's one way to start the series.
That is what you need to see. A beautiful Halt accretion that comes out as well, and Northeastern has unleashed the pack. They are just going to come in droves over Miami and be able to just crush any position they're in.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way, again, to start a map like this, where you are now at match point for the rest of the series. Getting Neats into a good position has been kind of being a lot by CGS in these DPS duels that we've seen so far, and now it's time for Neats in their turn to make something happen as, again, Northeastern Esports doing what they should be doing on compositions like that, taking that high ground space away and giving space to Neats who can frag.
Yeah, CGS and Spencer are being bullied. Spencer from the tank line and CGS from Neats. It is like clockwork at this point.
I mean, one of the things that's difficult about Ashe in a situation like this, you don't have something like an Orisa to halt those dynamites, so it's really off the back of only you, and Hirsch is going to be in a position to use those shields effectively, as actually here comes an engagement, and all of the members of Miami Redhawks are going down. This is very, very convincing for Northeastern Esports, as they are now rolling through second Blizzard World here.
Yeah, Neats has taken a chapter or two out of what we saw from the previous game of CGS and amplified it tenfold.
I mean, it feels like they're waking up now. This is the Northeastern who hasn't lost the series this entire season so far. They're playing aggressive. These halt creation combinations or halt Hanzo combinations working out fantastic. Neats coming up towards that Dragon Strike can create a lot of space with this and potentially get some kills.
Supercharger will be committed into this to make sure that they do continue that momentum. Extra damage necessary, giving even more agency as the dashing Dragon Strike comes through to the side and still finds CGS. They have their number on speed dial, friends, and continue to outmatch this play. And Miami Redhawks are just unable to gain any sort of foothold here.
I mean, the CCR play is going down. It's going to be really difficult. Phozix goes down with Rally seeking as well. And again, this is just phenomenal from Northeastern University here. They're playing so aggressive, knowing their limits with a composition like that. The synergy from the tanks has been completely on points, and finally, Neats is starting to show up in the kill feed, something that we didn't see in that second map of Havana, and something that they desperately need to try and make this reverse sweep. Redhawks switching it up again a little bit, going into more of that brawly style, especially on third. It's going to work out so much better, but they need to make a Herculean effort as
yeah, look at this rush
Big
into
flux.
The back line, but the flux is going to make this absolutely devastating if there is collapsibility from
They rocked
Northeastern.
out.
And they got absolutely rolled after that. I mean, just more so because, like, they have the right idea. Miami was like, we got to do something to change this comp, but they still fell into the trap.
But I mean, the 1 second that Miami Redhawks gets fluxed like that and they lose CCR plays, the fight's over. You don't have Immortality Field in a situation like that. And look at Northeastern. With all the wholesale swaps Miami have made, Northeastern have a treasure trove of ultimates to work with.
Yep, Amplification Matrix now, big opportunity for Northeastern as they do get a 1-for-1 trade, but subtly it goes in favor of Northeastern again. This STEM group of individuals changed their hypothesis, they understood the variables, and they are feeling confident with the outcome.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't even know if there's going to be anyone from Miami to get to the point here. They don't have anyone. The charge misses, and Phozix is a little bit too late. And Northeastern finish Blizzard World with more time than they started with. Whenever that clock ticks upwards, Rich, you know you've done something good, especially on a map like this where it's so hard sometimes to even complete the map. This has just been an annihilation coming in from Northeastern Esports. I mean, it was one-sided on Havana, looking pretty one-sided here on Blizzard World.
And this really being a map that they grabbed hold of, and to commend them, because as we've talked about, they've been the team over the course of the season that has been such a titan among these 14 universities that could be participating. And Miami has really set themselves up for a early lead. But if Northeastern has taken this break, this moment to revitalize, this opportunity to elevate themselves and to compete like this is a scary moment. Miami's going to have to say, we cannot allow this to continue.
Yeah, and one of the things I think about Miami is that I think I've seen some double shield looks from them. They're like some Orisa, Diva shield looks, but they seem to favor more of either like the Brawl or something like the Hammond composition. And on a map like this in Blizzard World, we saw it in the National Championship. This map is so disgustingly good for double shield. So I think that when Miami Redhawks are going to go back to playing what they know best, right? They're going to be going back to playing this brawly style of composition. Bringing in the Mei, I think, is a great decision. You can throw that wall and kind of just circumvent any of the spam Northeastern is bringing to the table. Neats is going to be on the Torbjorn, so again, offering just more of that spam and shield break. So Miami Redhawks really have to be careful with the rotation of these cooldowns, the shield, the defense matrix, the wall coming out from Mei, all going to be incredibly impactful as we go forward.
Yeah, the coordination has to be impeccable from Miami to be able to dislodge this, because defensively Northeastern on this double shield can be a real challenge to get through and mitigate any sort of rotation, as there is going to be a nice positioning. They do have CGS on the Symmetra. The longer this fight goes, the better opportunity they get to clean up here. And you can see the Immortality Field already tossed into this. Phozix desperately needed to keep this team alive and trying to fuel up front, but Horthic still goes down low, swiftly dives into the back to take him out, and you will have Miami Redhawks just unfortunately being dwindled one player after another, even though they've got CGS piling up the beam.
Yeah, I mean, the CGS is doing a ton of damage right now, but the Immortality Field from Scoop was absolutely unreal there. Kept Hirsch alive through all of the damage that was coming through, because the shield was in a perfect place where they couldn't just beam down. And Neats gets a hammer kill off the back of it.
Haven't seen that in a while.
Northeastern are failing themselves right now. Look at all the ultimates they've been able to accrue as well. Almost a 6-pack coming into this next fight. Yes, Miami Redhawks got 2 ticks, but they didn't get the point, and they've already dwindled a minute and a half off their time bank.
I love seeing that hammer in that kill feed. It's been a long time, Kenobi, since you and I have had the luxury of seeing that, but absolutely, just now with this high ground position, Woe has the pulse bomb. Looks to try and get into this back line once again to harass Horthic, potentially in the sightlines, but there's an arrow to counter it instantly. Horthic says, not this time, friend. I hear those feet pacing around, and I'm going to continue to shut this team out with this high ground position, eliminating Scoop. Timid commits the rally, which gives some sustainability on this point, but it's not going to hold for long enough. There's no amount of armor that can withstand Miami when they get an advantage like that.
That was all Horthic, man. Just from the start to the end, just in that kill feed, taking down the Tracer, and then sniping the Baptiste alongside of that. Just absolutely unreal plays from a player who we know has that pop-off potential, and now Miami Redhawks finally break open that first point to start moving through third. One of the things you're going to have to be looking out for with this composition is they have to take control of high ground. They can't go through low ground, because if they do, they'll just continuously get spammed from that high ground with the Orisa and the spam that Northeastern bring to the table. So you want to take this high ground away and make sure that there isn't that free spam coming on.
And you can see now that they're still continuing to maintain it. Sklee is on the turret, mind you, just chilling up there trying to combat against Spencer, who has the self-destruct, tosses it just under the barrel, will only find the turret in the back, no additional value, as Northeastern still holds this position. They are unwavering from that balcony and
shatter
up this stairway, but if Kabunga can find the shatter between the shield rotation, that will be massive. Goes in for it, no fortify to hold it.
Stunned out!
Beautiful stun to counter!
Oh, but Horthic is still alive here, just raining free damage down, but it doesn't matter. Northeastern are getting the kills.
That is some massive clutch factor coming in from Timid. First the shield bash, then the flay to dislodge Horthic from up top. Northeastern has really stepped up.
Oh, Northeastern is doing such a good job. And Matrix committed, but Gravitic Flux in return.
Yep, that'll be enough damage here to make sure that they get that DMAX. Spencer was actually out of range of it, so they have to bail. They get DMAX and actually will be left alone in the backside as there's an attempt to change this. Both Kabunga and one underneath get the few that are reliable for them to start getting some distance passing this pylon terrace.
Yeah, the respawn advantage is just too much for Northeastern to deal with, and now this is a good position for Redhawks to be in. They have Horthic here up on this high ground, being able to spam down that damage. Northeastern University coming back in, have the rally and have an Ant Matrix, so it's going to be very hard for Redhawks to aggress into this fight, especially unless Spencer doesn't get back into this mech.
Oh, Spencer still not here in it, just growing ever so closely, but can't find the angle. TP to just miss themselves from that front line position is huge. And what a pin on the side! Kabunga finds the angle onto Woe with the charge, so they can just completely prevent any sort of action up on this high ground on the catwalk. Open core though from Neat could be enough to get a damage onto Miami, pressing forward to compete, but with the rally in the back, giving assistance from Timid, Northeastern once again holds strong.
Yeah, and with these enclosed fights, if you have something like a multi-core, it's almost 9 possible to win, especially if the D.Va isn't able to eat all of it. Spencer will get staggered here a little bit longer. A minute and a half left for the Miami Redhawks here by the time they get back to this point. I mean, this stagger is brutal onto Spencer, and now we're in a bit of a tricky situation for Miami Redhawks because they don't have any semblance of a respawn advantage. If anything, with where the card is right now and where the fights are going to happen, it's a respawn disadvantage, but DPS are traded out from side to side. Horthic not being here means that they're going to have to take a little bit more time.
Yes, it takes some time for a...
Oh, the shatter!
They go in with a shatter. They decide to commit to this. They have a confidence level that I'm not sure is going to pay off when there's a big flux like that in the back. Both CCR and Fozix can't withstand the damage.
Oh, and with Kabunga not here, they're going to have to, again, wait. I mean, Kabunga goes for the play there, hits a really good shatter, but just unfortunately, without Horthic there in the follow-up on the DPS, they aren't able to take it out. They're just waiting. I mean, the spam coming through for Northeastern is so hard for Miami Redhawks to walk through. And you look, Bob is going to be at the ready. Another Molten Core is going to be here for Neats to just make it impossible for Redhawks to play where they want.
Quite a task here for Miami to reach this next checkpoint. The Dragon Strike is a way to enter into this, especially with Sklee going down. They might have just been able to turn this around in the final moments to reach this next checkpoint. This is at least one objective that they can focus on, but they still have another ahead of them to go.
Yeah, I mean, they have to get back to the cart really quickly, though, because look at the ultimates Northeastern have. If they can stall this a little bit, they have Bob and Molten Core.
Oh, Hirsch actually gets knocked away, and they touch it! Oh my goodness, what a beautiful play to boop Hirsch away. Fozix coming out on top for that savior moment.
Yeah, really good from Fozix and Spencer. They're just making sure there was no way in hell that Northeastern was going to get back to that point. And now you look, WOA needs those ultimates that were going to be so good are not going to be able to get the main value that they would have if they had stalled that cart, and you've let Miami Redhawks get some ultimates of their own, specifically that Photon Barrier, going to be so good to block so much of the spam coming through from Northeastern in this next fight. But Miami have to finish with time here, or else all they can get is a draw.
You can see Horthic keeping an eye on that backline position, acknowledging that there could be a flank factor with Fozix sitting in the sound barrier. Horthic playing aggressively to first eliminate the turret, and now looks for the sightline onto Neats, but the Molten Core has been committed, and they'll be able to hold strong. Now, we once again reach that under 60 seconds position, and there's still 3 ultimates online for Northeastern.
Yeah, I mean, Northeastern University really just hit Miami Redhawks with their wallets right there. There was nothing Miami could really stand on, especially with the Molten Core being placed so well from Neats, who's had an unreal map of Blizzard World so far. And look at the tank ultimates that Northeastern have. It's going to be so hard for Miami Redhawks to win this.
And being on this lower position, there's that turret on the high ground, this consistent play from Hirsch up top, getting the flux, but the Storm Arrow does remove Scoop. Timid gives that rally for armor to survive, with Sklee committing also the supercharger. This is now, they need to all get back for one last attempt here. They can't continue to stagger this, or they're just going to be completely disadvantaged in numbers.
Yeah, I mean, with Spencer going down as well, Fozix is just here trying to proc overtime as much as they can. I mean, they're being squiggly enough where they're not being taken out just yet. Kabunga's back on the ball, but it's not enough, Rich. This is going to be Northeastern's map to win.
Yep, with the 2 remaining for that long after, there's no way that you can get a full 6 to reset. There's no one close enough to compete, and Northeastern has definitely come back revitalized from that small break and said, all right, fam, we're coming back, and we're going to unleash everything we've got.
And I mean, that was, I think, one of the best ways to get back into a map. You know that with a map like this, with how good you are potentially at the double shield comp, that it favors you so much, because Miami Redhawks haven't shown us that double shield rock. Like, look, they've been mostly playing the brawl, they've been mostly playing the ball comps, and they just aren't as good on Blizzard World as the double shield looks. So really good decision making from the coaching staff of Northeastern to take us to that Blizzard World. And now we're still in a bit of a scary situation, though, for Northeastern, right? They have to win 2 more of those off the trot. They're going to be behind the 8 ball in terms of map pick the entire time. And if I'm, Miami Redhawks here, I'm just like, okay, well, we have the chance to basically take us to 2 really good either A, brawl maps, or B, ball maps, and we can just close out this close out this championship.
Yeah. But at least now, with what they've seen from a double shield composition for Northeastern, is that it definitely emphasizes what maps they may not want to see because of how dominant it was and play to those strengths. So, after this one, you can definitely say that Northeastern has come back and really understands how they can combat against us. And it's a lot on, Fozix, where they've commented, we have to understand and learn in the moment. They've taken this. They have to just ensure that it doesn't allow them to become too overwhelmed and put them into a negative mental state after having a little bit more of a challenging map, as we do have confirmation it is going to be Temple of Anubis, and 2CP is one we've not seen for some time, my friend, but it's one that could be definitely a deciding factor here for either Miami or entering into a 5th map.
And I think when I look at Anubis specifically and like what the decision making is behind this map, this is a very good map for ball, extremely good. And I think Double Shield does thrive in it. I think it's an option for Northeastern to play that type of composition, which is the composition we've seen them have the most success on. one of the things I was really impressed with was Neats being able to bounce back specifically on that map in the Hanzo v Hanzo duel, where CGS was really, really in the driver's seat for the entirety of Havana, and that time swaps the places with Neats, who really stepped up in terms of their play. So if Neats can continue to match and beat this DPS, beat CGS, who was playing so good in those first 2 maps, I think we're definitely potentially going to be going to a map 5.
Yeah, and it really, really was quite... Well, also, the combination of the synergy between the tanks, because we mentioned that as well. It was that specific individual being able to step up, but also the halt accretions on numerous occasions, being able to completely shut down their opposing side. It was quite compelling. There is, I think, 4 or 5 serious occasions that helps win the fight for them.
I think as well, because it's basically like gratis, right? Especially if you're going up against a ball composition, right? Like halt accretions right there are pretty much free, and you have to... you still have to hit them, right? That's the main thing. And they were also setting up the Hanzo arrows as well. Like, we even saw the map literally started with a halt into a Hanzo dome piece, and from there, it just felt like the tone was set for the entirety of the map. And Anubis is a map where, like, again, it's 2CP. It's a assault map where it can, get grindy or get very snowbally. So if this is a chance where Miami Redhawks just want to play the brawl, I think you have a little bit of a harder time playing something like Double Shield, because then you can just get completely run on if you are someone like Northeastern. This is a map, though, where we have seen Miami pull out like the shield composition, with a lot of the spam. They played the Arista, they played the Diva. I remember Horthic, I think, was on Junkrat last time I saw this map. So a lot can happen here on a map like Anubis, and it is a deciding map for both these teams. Either we go to that map 5, or it's just a championship win here for my Redhawks.
Yeah, and maybe there's some part of that. This is Overwatch. This is, Booksmart. The STEM and Overwatch coming together. Halt, accretions, the mathematical distance of knowing the timing. I'm gonna try there. I'm grasping for straws at that one. Okay. I can just see your face, Kenobi. I was like, where are you going?
You could have gone like the Sigma route, because Sigma, is a scientist themselves.
Yes,
their whole point. By the way, I think Sigma's release video was like one of the best videos in Overwatch. I really love that one.
Yeah, no, it was.
It's probably my favorite.
It really was. I would agree with that. And seeing with what we've had from this team of Northeastern on that previous map, we're going to have them come out now on the attacking side here, as we do have Northeastern on this defense. And we're going to have Neats being the one to adjust to something different once again onto this Junkrat. And we've seen Junkrat actually yield a lot of value in this initial point.
This is also very good against Brawl. If, like, Miami Redhawks is going to run this rush composition, the shield of Kabunga here will not last very long. And also, if you're Neats, you can just, in these enclosed areas, throw grenades over them and make it very difficult for Miami Redhawks to basically, as a unit of 6, move forward, because you also have to be incredibly careful of the mines, because the mines will just boop you up in a position you're not, really wanting to be in, and then Woe or someone like Hirsch takes your head off. So Miami Redhawks have to play around this very carefully. I like that the Mei is on the field here, because you are able to give yourself that extra little bit of wall. As you can see, already...
They walked right into the trap was there. Oh,
they didn't scout it. Neats has ult. Neats has ult in 20 seconds, by the way. That is how good Junkrat can be on this map. If you aren't ready, that was a trap into 6-man mine into now Riptire in 30 seconds. That's unreal farming from Neats right here.
Yeah, Prod giving us that quick glimpse just before the chaos ensues. The Junkrat is definitely leaving a lot of that explosion all on the line here. Neats ready for this Riptire to be unleashed.
I don't think they know, and now here comes the teleport in, and Kabunga's down. This fight's over. Fight's over.
It's gonna be well, you're right, because I guarantee you none of their shot callers and none of their ult trackers were even thinking that they could have hit that so quickly.
Oh, another great halt to an accretion, and this has just been Northeastern. When I said that they need to have the greatest Capri Sun and orange slices, they must have gotten it. They must have, like, the best Capri Sun. They didn't eat it frozen like you talk about. They ate it the way you're supposed to drink Capri Sun. It is a drink. You drink a drink. And right now, Northeastern are on a rampage at the current moment. A minute and a half already taken from Miami Redhawks. Coming back in, Horthic is close towards that main Blizzard, so if they can circumvent a lot of the spam and get onto that high ground, they can use that Blizzard to push them off, but they have to be so worried of Neats.
They went to the orange orchid. Oh my! They went to the orange orchid field, and they also went to the Capri Sun Manufacturing Center. They've got it fresh on both accounts, as this continues to be a defensive hold that has really put Miami into a position of that they have to make some adjustments, and they actually have CGS going on this Widowmaker.
They're stuck. I mean, Miami's stuck. Here comes the Grid Flux, and that's basically all of the members right now.
Yep, everyone's now going to collapse from overhead. Hirsch, there's a Blizzard to potentially lock down anyone that pushes forward, but it's only a defensive survival tactic as they're just being reduced to one player after another.
I mean, they're still stuck up here, so this is just more time that's being taken off the clock. Horthic is trying to trade one back, but isn't going to be able to do so. And this defense from Northeastern is absolutely unreal at the current moment. Miami Redhawks doesn't seem like they have any foot to stand on. CGS has gone over to a, I would say, somewhat of a desperate Widowmaker swap where you're just trying to get that single pick onto someone in that backline and just completely turn the fight that way and brute force your way in. And they're not even going to stick on the Widow. They're going back to just that double hit scan look at the current moment, but how much time do they realistically have?
Oh, Spencer quickly recognizing where Neats is, but unfortunately is almost taken down. Bob committed into the back, which is going to cause some harassment onto Horthic, and there's no way that they can even get directional healing to give assistance. CGS also picked up with Sklee focus firing him down. 55 seconds to go, and there is still a stack of ultimates here for Northeastern.
Oh, and there's also just a lonely Baptiste right here who's going to get taken out. 45 seconds left is all that remains for Miami Redhawks, and it's gut check time for them because they need to win this fight, and they're going up against a Junkrat Riptire, they're going up against a Rally, and both of the tank ultimates potentially here. And Northeastern, I mean, this is all for them to play for right now. They should have a really significant advantage in this fight.
It's all onto Jaybird to try and counteract this, because if this Riptire gets an early pickup, this is going to be a fight loss, as you can see perfectly timed read does get damage onto Spencer, who is demeched, and they are attempting to follow up before they get back into it. Ultimate's committed. Kabunga looks for the knockback. Scoop goes down with the remake, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. As I say that, though, a couple of melee kills come through. Sklee and Woe brought down. They've gotten an initial tick and finally have been able to break this near impossible defensive wall that came out from Northeastern.
I mean, that was, like, Miami Redhawks are wiping the sweat off their brow right now, because that was very close to being a full hold, and finally they're able to just brute force their way in, use that sound barrier. They take out Neats extremely early, who I think was in a position where they just wanted to end the fight quickly, but they weren't expecting the sound barrier damage, and I love what Miami Redhawks has been doing in terms of adjusting, like just focusing down Neats, because you cannot let that Junkrat just continuously spam those grenades into the back line and get those kills.
You can see there's a little bit of a divided presence. You do have Hirsch on this defense taking that wide position very low. Nice couple of shots here from Horthic as they are going to have to draw back. This reposition now, Miami Redhawks taking the outskirts around for a flanking position, but now they're a little bit divided and conquered. You've got Horthic going down and Spencer low, who is going to get topped up though.
Yeah, topped up, and that is going to give Phosix and Matrix, and they also have a self-destruct really soon in their back pocket, so a lot of space creation tools available for Miami Redhawks, again, to just brute force their way onto this point. They do have to be worried about the Bob on the other side, but beyond that, Neats is really going to need to get this Junkrat Riptire quickly, and he might in time.
With it being in time, if they land a couple of critical grenades.
That's bad.
Oh no, it's going to put, again, just reduction in time. And these are just going to now be even more staggered. Flux going to come in, landing it onto one. This is a done and dusted engagement here. Northeastern has managed to once again hold the line at this doorway, putting Miami into a position to potentially, and well, if they leave this spawn, that's me.
I mean, it was really good understanding from Northeastern too. Once they get the pick onto Jaybird, they know that there's no way to move away from the point without the speed, so they just walk onto them, and they only use Gravitic Flux. They don't use any of their other ultimates, so they're able to keep that ultimate economy in their back pocket, and Miami Redhawks coming back in have a 6-pack in their back pocket. A minute is all that is left here, Rich.
They are going to unleash everything they have. This is the moment for them to be able to come back and be able to complete the second point. It has been a challenge to get through this first one, and the second one is even more. With this Riptire available, Needs trying to bank that damage off the wall to get into a very nice position for taking him down. Pick up onto one, and the second off the screen. Miami has come out big, but Needs taking equalizer could be taken down, but no, the fire strike is there from Kabunga to secure that there's no way they're turning this fight, despite there being a respawn advantage. Round 1 completed, and Miami only needed 5 of 6 to finish it off.
I mean, that's crazy. If you would have told me at the start of the map, like, Neats is going to get Junkrat Tire in 30 seconds, and then Northeastern is not going to be able to full hold at that point, and Miami Redhawks is going to be able to make these swaps and just get to second and finish with time, I would have called you crazy. That is some unreal mental fortitude from Miami Redhawks to be able to not only break down first point, but get to second and complete it with time.
But that's why you commend them. And Fozix being the leader and that coach that they need right now to help build them up and keep them in a positive mental state. This swap of sides now. This is a moment here. It is going to be Miami Redhawks on the defense attempting to see if they can prevent this completion on their match point to be able to take this grand final victory and the MAC ESC championship for this spring Overwatch season. Or is Northeastern going to be able to muster themselves up, get a very significant time bank to run it back again?
And I mean, we are guaranteed at least another round, unless it's a full hold from Miami Redhawks side or a full hold at second point. You can see CGS has opted in for the Junkrat themselves this time, so again, just offering a lot of that spam. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for Needs here on the offensive end on the Junkrat because you don't necessarily just have that easy window to just continuously throw grenades into, so it is going to be a little bit of a discrepancy, I would think, at the start of this for CGS, who just has this very easy route. But look at Miami Redhawks. They're going to catch him off guard.
Oh, they move into that side room, but are going to be divided. Spencer low. Great immortality field from Fozix to keep them alive, but the damage isn't coming through. Northeastern is actually withstanding more of it, and the damage from Miami isn't landing. Neats gets the pickup onto Horthic, and that opens this up.
I mean, the immortality field from Scoop was absolutely perfect as well, keeping the entirety of Northeastern alive, and Northeastern will just say, thank you very much, we're going to move forward. Horthic isn't in this fight just yet, but they're Tracer, and they should be back soon.
Oh, CGS is so low. You've got Spencer picked out after the DMEC. The immortality from Fozix, again, desperately tossed out to keep them alive under the bridgeway, but it's not gaining value. It's still Northeastern playing clustered together. They've got the spawn advantage. The amplification matrix is there, but a shatter comes in by Kabunga, and they will finally be able to stop Northeastern's aggression.
Wow, Miami Redhawks being able to hold that was insane there, Rich. I mean, it felt like they were fighting at a 5v. I mean, they were. Horthic died so early, but they were able to weather the storm, and the Ant Matrix from Fozix catches Northeastern completely off guard, and Miami Redhawks live to fight another defense here. But look at Northeastern. And they're coming back in. They have a Riptire. They have a Bob as well. So many ultimates for Northeastern here to get onto this second point, but they have to be worried about CGS and where this Riptire is going.
Yep, which Riptire will gain more value, which explosion shell. Oh! But it doesn't get anything. And now they've lost this team enter their own into the mix, but the immortality field is there. What an eat comes out as well, preventing that pulse bomb from Horthic to turn it around. Neats is left up for some melees and find the takedown. This will be a even larger time bank for Northeastern, but they still have not yet completed it, and Miami's gonna have to try and regroup for a final hole.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a wallet diff there. I mean, there was really, Miami Redhawks had a good idea in terms of just trying to get CGS in a position where they can maybe snipe someone with the Riptire, but and again, another great immortality field from Scoop, able to save them, and they go off with the rally and keep themselves alive. Miami Redhawks here on the defensive end looking at a huge time bank on the other side, but they have a rally, or they have a sound barrier to work with, so these tank ultimates from Hirsch and from Slee should be able to be weathered long enough for the tank ultimates to get here for Miami Redhawks.
Timon was so close to going down. Great heads-up play by Scoop to give that healing when necessary. As the Flux comes out, up front, looking to get two. Sound barrier from Jaybird enters into this to try and retaliate. Scoop's immortality field no longer available. Peek in the corner, has the amplification matrix, and should be enough with a shatter.
Huge shatter!
Back on top of it to be able to hold defensively.
I mean, that's good if you're Miami Redhawks. You get out the Veridic Flux, you do forego your sound barrier for it, but that's a completely worth trade in that, in your opinion, if you're Miami Redhawks, in 4 minutes is still a long time to continuously defend. You can see Hirsch switching over to that D.Va, offering a little bit more of the potential to eat some of the incoming damage with the defense matrix. Contest high ground as well should be pretty important, but Neats is coming back in with a Junkrat Riptire. Comboed along with the Supercharger, Miami Redhawks have to weather another storm, and CGS is down. That means no Riptire is here.
Supercharger means go. Bob to the point, contesting. Self-destruct gets rid of the Supercharger, but the problem is that they still have point presence. Bob is there managing to get it while the Riptire comes into the back. It only gets one. The respawns are there for Miami with CGS back online, and the press from Northeastern. They shut it down though. Scoop gets the angle. The amplification matrix is here. They're about to complete the second tick and looking to complete the third, but Horthick diving onto this position.
Timid's
with the
dead.
side position of Jaybird. Their respawns come through in time, and they actually denied the second tick.
I mean, that was so clutch from Spencer there. You don't see too often where D.Va self-destructs don't get kills, but they are so impactful. That self-destruct stopped Northeastern from pushing forward with that advantage, and also got Supercharger and Immortality Field. That was one of the clutchest D.Va self-destructs I've seen. Horthy gets taken out, but it shouldn't matter too much. I mean, the respawn advantage is here. Immortality Field going down is a little bit of a big deal, but I mean, they're just aggressing.
Yeah, they're going to play forward. Again, they want to try and...
Oh, they used Rally!
Oh no, they've lost it with how fast they went down, and now it puts them into a... Again, there's still 2.5 minutes though, Kenobi, but that's not what you want to see.
I mean, that felt like a bit of a rally of hope there. And now that you don't have that cooldown, Jaybird is going to have a much better ultimate in terms of sustainability here in Northeastern Esports. I mean, with this composition as well, they have to play it a little bit more slowly because they have to set up the shields, take space away slowly, and they don't have necessarily ultimates to do that. Yes, they'll have a self-destruct to just brute force their way on, but look at Miami Redhawks. They have the ultimates to work with against it.
And Matrix down below to see if they can try and utilize it defensively. Getting a pickup onto Neats is everything they need. Once again, just stopping every opportunity to press forward. Hirsch also has to abandon ship. Look at how low they are with Timid nearby.
Oh, actually, Hirsch is committed. That self-destruct doesn't manage to find anything. Kabunga is so low in the backline, but they can't secure the kill.
Oh no, Jaybird giving that movement to try and allow Kabunga to escape, but can't do so. Now Neats gets another pickup after the DMAC. Again, respawn advantage here for Miami. They can get back into this, but Northeastern is in a great place to be.
I mean, Northeastern have to wait for full 6 members to get onto this point because they know if they take a fight at a disadvantage, they have to win it extremely cleanly or else the respawn advantage will just mess them up. And again, only 1 minute and 20 seconds left here. They get 2, maybe 3 fights depending on how long they last if they're lucky, Rich.
With now a massive amount of damage onto the backline of Northeastern, Scoop has to come in real fast to top them up, and the takedown onto Horthick. Again, green means go. Numbers advantage, pressing into this with the amplification matrix. Needs leading in with the Riptire, but there's a counter one as well. There's enough to block it. Sklee gets the shutdown. Northeastern is going to be countered by the Shatter onto 2. The Pulse Bump comes into the back line. 47 seconds to go, and Northeastern has once again been denied to try and claim the second and third tick.
I mean, huge picks again here from Miami Redhawks, just being that aggressive style. Sklee is not able to use that Supercharger, and Miami Redhawks are just looking for more, take as much as they can away from Northeastern. 30 seconds is all that's left, and Northeastern I don't think they're going to commit with time, or they're going to complete with time at all, Rich. They have to make it happen here, or else Miami Redhawks, if they hold, are going to be your MAC champions.
Yep, Timid has to lead with this rally early, and I think if armor to the entire team, or at least to the necessary members to keep them going to play forward. That's the only really significant ultimate that they can lead with it outside of Sklee. Down below, Horthick looking for a pulse bomb, though. Might be able to get it. Going to dash in as the rally is active.
He stuck him!
Gets the stick and finds Timid! There's no way that they will survive any longer. The rally has been formed. Scoop now comes in with a desperate amplification matrix. And Kenobi, you've got Miami coming out clutch in this Temple of Anubis. Northeastern is going to find themselves in a deficit and unable to complete this.
Well, was taking down Kabunga, though, but the picks, if they go back and forth like this, they're always going to be able to favor Miami, but they're still fighting here. Northeastern wants to take another round.
First takes out Spencer. Their counter bar down. The pulse
Fawcett's
bomb is there. They're getting the picks
no
necessary,
supports!
despite the respawn advantage, and the immortality field keeps them alive even further. They're getting the second tick. They're going to get the third. The charge comes in, a pin from the side, but I'm not going to think it's enough. This will actually be Miami being brought down. Northeastern able to complete this and have the possibility of getting it into a draw. They're flustered into the corner. Miami is being others, and we now go to a 1 minute to 1 minute score.
How on earth did Northeastern bring that back from the brink? That looked like it was completely done and dusted. As soon as the stick came onto Timid, I thought it was completely over, but the solo healing coming out from the Baptiste of Miami Redhawks, or not Miami Redhawks, from Scoop rather, on Northeastern, absolutely unreal. And because it was finished with just under a minute for Redhawks, Northeastern get another minute added to their time bank, so they can potentially win this one and take us to a map 5.
What a clutch factor here from Northeastern, with such a quite sizable time bank to work with going into that second point. Miami Redhawks stepping up to say, we're going to make this a real challenge with only the 60 to basically 94 seconds differential.
That's just 2 CP things, man. You have a really good time bank, and sometimes it just evaporates in front of your eyes, and you don't know where it actually went. But, I mean, Miami Redhawks on this defensive end they got steamrolled pretty hard, I think, on the first point, and you can see, I mean, with the low time that they have, look at Kabunga and look at the entirety. They're basically at this point saying, we're going to win or lose the map here with a play like this. And it's all on Northeastern right now to see if they see it. They only have a minute to work with, and a fight that devolves so quickly could be the death of their championship hopes.
And with the focus here on Horthick and also Spencer that far forward, they might not suspect this close position. They need to peek the corner. They don't see it. The fire strike is there. Beautiful immortality field from Scoop, though. The responsiveness to know as they collapse forward. Only the immortality field has gone down, and you actually have this aggressive position from Northeastern sustaining through it. And now Miami is committed to this. They have to get a pick here up front, or they will be outmatched, and this first point will go down. Timid is so low, Kenobi.
Oh, you gotta be looking at Fozix here, and Scoop, who's gonna get that immortality Matrix first? Whoa, takes down Horthick, but it's back and forth.
Spencer also low outside of the immortality field, so they don't get kept alive. Amplification Matrix from Scoop up front. Sklee, another.
What a shatter!
The shatter comes in on multiple members. They're holding the line. The doorways are their blockade. And you will have Miami Redhawks with an aggressive frontline position manage to get the better end of that exchange. And fronted to Northeastern Esports as the overtime procs.
Oh, there's still Hershier on that Hammond, just trying to stall as much as they can, but Miami Redhawks, they have everyone here, they have the damage.
Rally from Timid, that's long awaited to be used. If they can use that to their advantage, there is a miraculous turnaround opportunity, but it's still favoring Miami.
Fozix is dead!
Jaybird now with the sound barrier could be able to assist since Fozix did go down, but there's both supports eliminated. Miami finds the focus fire. They oh my goodness, they actually get this return. There's the Riptire, they get the Dayback. Northeastern has actually on this attacking side, despite everything going against them on multiple re-engagements, they still get it.
How on earth are Northeastern still alive in this series, not only from their first offense, but this second one right here? Absolutely unreal. From the jaws of defeat, they snap victory, and now they are guaranteed at least one more fight going over to second. They don't necessarily have the ultimates to snowball into, but anything you get on top of what you've already gotten is just gravy at this point for Northeastern.
Lots of it on top of that dinner piece as these 10 seconds dwindle. Ultimates very light here for Northeastern. There is Miami on the defense that has a surmountable amount that they can use into this. Early pickup onto Woe should be able to start being the snowball as the Shatter will secure it. Neats gets one and so does Timid, but the defensive position will be able to hold just because of the value they had in their ultimates. But again, the fact that completion happened on A puts Miami into a difficult position because previously they did not have the most luxurious time competing against that initial A point.
And I mean, the win condition is set here for Northeastern Esports. Just hold them at first or even at second, and you're able to go to a map 5. Miami Redhawks, you were right, had a really, really tough time on their first offense, and that was with 4 minutes. With a minute and a half, they're going to have to pull some rabbit out of a hat like Northeastern has been doing, because there are 2 times already in this map where I could have said, it's over, Miami Redhawks are going to be your champions, but Northeastern keep fighting, keep staying alive, and now they're just a minute and a half away from going to a map 5.
The intensity continues to rise as this moment is the last and final moment Fear the olive coming out from Hirsch in the chat. Okay, the olive. You're gonna be able to get some lovely dressing here on this lovely salad. I'm trying to help you there, Hirsch, with anything.
You put olives on your salad?
No, I don't. I meant like the olive oil, like, you know, like, see, because you can put that as a garnish, like, or like a you know what I'm talking about? Maybe. All right. As we now have the doors open, the objective A is the site to complete as Miami comes out swinging with this comp.
No, I mean, this is kind of what they ran at the start, so they're going to have to be maneuvering with these teleporters away from the damage of the Junkrat. They're just going hella aggressive right here. Ken needs finding kills. He actually gets taken out. That's huge. That
is massive to get that, and will completely snowball forward. Him taking full control of the bridgeway. That is a great opportunity here for Redhawks. Something that we didn't see in their previous attempts. Northeastern has been kind of bamboozled.
Yeah, I mean, that's some fantastic adaptation. They actually use the wall to give an area for CGS to put that teleporter up, and then they just rush onto the members of Northeastern Esports, and now Rich, 40 seconds, they're going to get an extra 20 in their back pocket for taking this first point. A minute and a half, that's all that's left for them about. And they have a self-destruct to work with. Northeastern Esports, they just need to hold the line to get themselves a draw, or else it's going to be Miami Redhawks soon going to be the ones who are taking this championship.
And that Blizzard is the focus. That is a win condition for them, but has to get value with this Riptire that is approaching ever so closely.
And
Amplification Matrix, yes, is now going to be placed into the window. They are waiting for the opportune time to drop this, to network into it. Big damage actually almost gets Phozix with the grenades. Look at this rotation. The wall actually locks them into position. It's going to be left in the corner. They've divided them away, but the Riptire comes out in time, gets the D-Leg and the pickup onto CGS.
Yeah, now it's just about resets here for these supports, and you can stall these out, actually, if you're Northeastern here. You don't have to get these kills. You can just stall. Phozix is going to get taken down relatively soon, and that means that only 18 seconds are left here for Redhawks. They have to get someone to this point to proc that overtime, but look at the positioning of Northeastern.
Scoop gonna lead with the Amplification Matrix. Hirsch also tossing out the Flux to slow them down. The seconds are continuing to just chip away. Their round back position by Spencer. 2 are down. This is a desperate plea to keep it into the overtime, but the supercharger is there from Sklee. Timid has rallied just over the morale. Overtime shall vanish, and we are able to find ourselves at a draw. This game is not over yet, friends.
Remember when I said that we could have had 6 maps between these two teams? Here we go. The possibility is there right now. This has been an unreal series between both of these teams, and I mean, a gutsy performance from both of them. Like, again, this map could have gone either way each time. I feel like each of them had that moment where they potentially could have just swung the map, but they keep staying alive. And man, oh man, do we, Rich, as casters, you know, we love it. We love it when we have a series on our hands. We have one now. We have one now. After the way the first 2 maps went, I would have been like, yeah, this is going to be over. It's a 3-0. It's done. It's dusted. We've got a new championship here, but Northeastern are not saying die.
My, oh my, what a wonderful day for all of us here and for those tuning in. Absolutely, my friend. And I can't even wait. At this point, we just got to toss to another break because that's 4 maps now. We're going to give them a moment to probably take as much of a breather as we have to after that one, so don't go anywhere because we'll be bringing that action in just a moment to see if we go to another map or we finally crown a champion.
Neither has any of the Northeastern Esports players, it feels like, because CGS is just on a complete rampage. It's a bit of a sticks differential right now as Miami Redhawks are moving forward, and they only need to win 1 fight to secure a 2-0 lead in the series.
Yep, 2-0 lead is going to put a major level of excitement. It's still Northeastern playing clustered together. They've got the spawn advantage. The Amplification Matrix is there, but a shatter comes in by Kabunga, and they will finally be able to stop Northeastern's aggression. Scoop force out both support ultimates here, but you're gonna have the
Tim is
Pokemon
dead.
come in and deny, and there's an eat as well from Spencer. Whoa, can't get any value against this team time and time again. Northeastern is being dismantled for the moment as Miami continues to round the payload, clip off the remaining few, and that will be a completion here. Even though there's a subtle attempt for needs to touch, there is no way you're staying near that long.
Their own can stick it onto either Brigitte or Zenyatta and secure those kills.
Could potentially force out the transcend. Oh, CGS just comes in big with the storm arrows, lightning from up above. Interact this, because if this Riptire gets an early pickup, this is going to be a fight loss, as you can see perfectly timed read does get damage onto Spencer, who is demeched, and they are attempting to follow up before they get back into it. Ultimate's committed. Kabunga looks for the knockback. Scoop goes down with the remake, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough. As I say that, though, a couple of melee kills come through. Splee and Woe brought down. They've gotten an initial tick and finally kick the ball into the corner.
I mean, you can see Miami Redhawks, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, continue with this brawly style of composition. The one difference, CGS is going to be on that Hanzo, matching a little bit more of that long-range potential against Neats. Also, again, Splee has to be very careful, but so does Neats. Neats gets taken down immediately. There's no mercy. There's no res, and this is a moment where Miami Redhawks can go aggressive.
This is all opened up now just by that pick. There is now, for once, what we haven't seen before.
With his pulse.
Oh, gets squeezed solo. Is there the follow through? Oh no, GS gets the takedown with the Deadeye onto Neats. This is just absolutely falling to the wayside here for Northeastern. Miami coming in, doing everything imaginable in the tail.
Mercy!
The pin onto Timon. They've lost it. Scoop now also taken down by the Judgment Hammer up front. This will be Miami coming out despite losing round one, saying, we've bred you. We've adapted to you, and now we will take this first map and put us up by one score.
Miami Redhawks now
into it. Oh, Kabunga gets scooped. 25 seconds. There is a sound barrier as well, but pick up onto one, and the second almost clean. Miami has come out big, but needs equalizer could be taken down, but no, the fire strike is there from Kabunga to secure that there's no way they're turning this fight, despite there being a respawn advantage. Round one completed, and Miami only needed 5 of 6 to finish it off. To get many, but it still hits Jaybird, a vital member of Miami, no longer having the sound barrier, and once again, really stifling any sort of ability for Miami to push in.
And I think that's fantastic for Northeastern Esports right there, going aggressively, knowing that you're at somewhat of a disadvantage, and now look at how aggressive Northeastern's being. Here comes the trance, it saves everyone.
Just keeping Persia alive so they aren't going to get DMX, so they still have some competition, but in the back line, there's a back door coming in to make sure that they can swap it to at least cause some confusion in how they want to get back into this, but there is a contention. Now it's Northeastern in a prime position to be able to take this first round. Sklee is there with the rest of the army, as now the overtime will dwindle. No one from Miami can even get there fast enough, and that's a very convincing round one, despite the 44 going in favor of Miami.
And I think this was really good for Northeastern. I mean, Miami Redhawks, I think, did a very good job understanding how to swap and swap quickly. I think that's, again, some of the smarts coming.
Sound barrier from Jaybird enters into this to try and retaliate. Scoop's immortality field no longer available. Peek in the corner has the amplification matrix. It should be enough with a shatter.
Huge shatter.
Back on top of it to be able to hold.
He's not going to be able to full hold at that point, and Miami Redhawks is going to be able to make these swaps and just get to second and finish with time. I would have called you crazy. That is some unreal mental fortitude from Miami Redhawks to be able to not only break down first point, but get to second and complete it with time.
But that. Welcome back, you wonderful and glorious audience, because we are in for a treat right now, Kenobi, as we are going now into another map after a draw, and at this point, the stakes continue to elevate. My blood is boiling to the point that I'm having to go see a cardiologist.
I mean, yeah, this has been an unreal series, which is weird because when you, like, the first 2 maps that we had, it was like, oh, Miami's just, like, on another level, right? They're up 2-0. They're absolutely dominating right now, and then Northeastern come back and say, hey, there's a reason we haven't been at we haven't lost 2 maps yet. Like this, there's a reason we've been so good so far, and they're showing it right now, especially going into this last map of Lijiang Tower. Being able to survive that Temple of Anubis is also incredible from them. I think that all of these players are playing at the highest level they possibly can, and it's been an unreal series so far as we go to Lijiang Tower as our last map. Now, just do some housekeeping, Rich. Does the pick of Northeastern Esports right here. If they win, we go to a deciding tiebreaker, map 6, which is also going to be Lijiang Tower. But if Miami Redhawks win it, they're going to be your champions. And on a map like this, where Brawl does thrive, Miami Redhawks are probably feeling pretty good.
There is no other place that I would want to be in a storyline like this, Kenobi. Observing and getting all this amazing action underway in front of us as the door is open. It's do or die, sink or swim as we enter onto this Gardens map as they barrel out the door.
Yeah, you can see already, I mean, really good understanding from Miami Redhawks going directly onto the point, knowing that they don't want to be in those open areas against the D.Va and against these flankers. They're trying to scout out needs. Actually, did someone get knocked off there? Almost didn't, but they're able to survive.
Yeah, Horthic was able to get that dash quick enough so that they can recover instead of being knocked off of this point. And you do now have both Jaybird and Fozix overrun. They cannot give one another the support that they need. And you have Northeastern coming out on this Gardens map, managing to take the early advantage.
Woe goes down, so that means that Sklee and Woe are not here, so this is a little bit of an even fight, and Fozix and Jaybird will be back here relatively soon.
Yeah, the fact that that goes down, and you've got, well, Scoop getting that pickup now on the CCR. They just have Focus Fire Kabunga in the back. He's actually getting topped up, though, by Fozix, who's back in the mix of this. These staggers are coming out, but finally, Northwood gets it, or Northeastern gets it.
I mean, Scoop is playing unreal right now with the Zenyatta. Was able to get 2 picks there that really helped them secure that fight, and Northeastern now are in a great position because they can just press the advantage as much as they want here. They can fight in these open areas, they can take these kills, and now if you're Redhawks, in these next fights, you're walking into things like Minefield, like EMP, like Rally. It's going to be so hard for Miami Redhawks to basically get onto this point that they will have to just brute force their way onto it, potentially get that sound barrier, use this Ant Matrix just to take space away, but here's the lead from EMP.
Beautiful positioning. No one is ready for it. The Earth Shatter gets timid, but that's only one takedown amongst many for Northeastern as they will take full advantage of that beautifully placed EMP. But as I say that, it's Horthic actually withstanding it, and also Kabunga getting a great couple of pickups, and it'll eventually just go in favor of Northeastern.
Yeah, I mean, without the supports there, they just didn't have the legs to stand on. Northeastern Esports used 3 ultimates in that fight. Potentially, you could consider that a little bit of overcommits, but I think it was totally fine. And now you can see Miami Redhawks, switching up their composition, bring in the Cassidy, offering that CC for the flankers. But here's a self-destruct from Hirsch to start things off.
Shield to mitigate it from CCR to get that extra energy as they grow near this Graviton. As you do have a couple of great picks to come out the gate for Miami, they will be able to take the numbers advantage into this. They're separating Sklee from the team. Hirsch is so low, just needs to be picked up. Somebody take him down as Fozix gets the take. And now they will swap it over at this almost 80%, but they're still drawing it out as long as they can so that they can reach this 99 position and feel even more comfortable.
Yeah, they're just trying to realistically take as much percentage as they can. 85% is what they end up with, which is a good amount. It's almost that last fight territory, but these adaptations from Miami Redhawks, I think, are genius right now. Bring CGS with that Cassidy, offering the ability to use that flashbang to realistically make the life of the flankers miserable, and also bring in a Sombra with the hack to basically make Sklee's life miserable.
You can see that this positioning by the Bridgeway hack almost come through, grab onto the supports, does actually get a separated position, but they still go down. That is an easy opportunity here for Miami. Despite them losing one, will be able to hold on to this.
Yeah, really good Graviton Surge, getting the support specifically, and even though the rally was ticking upwards, there's just too much focus damage for Northeastern to deal with, and that's a rally that's not going to get a lot of value. But look, in this next fight here, Rich, EMPs will be available for both of these teams. It's going to be on to see who goes first, who's going to get the one with the advantage. But Sklee already is going down, and they've been focusing down Sklee so well with the CC.
Yeah, after they realized the type of value that Sklee brought in earlier towards this map, they had to put them in check. Whoa, in the back getting some healing from their ally, but it's not going to withstand that continued redirected attention as now CCR up front, high on energy, focuses Sklee, but gets clipped by the EMP from Neats. Bolts Sklee and Neats. Oh, Neats barely alive, but still, this is not a favorable position for Northeastern.
And that was an EMP committed from Neats, and that wasn't a fight win for Northeastern, and now they're walking into an EMP from Horthic, and the way that they've been aggressing, it has to be Scoop. Scoop needs to be in a position to dodge this EMP and use this Transcendence. If not, Miami Redhawks are going to win this map.
And this now would be monumental for them to gain this first round victory, as Horthic has to come out in the open. Discord Orb is still stacked on top of them. This is the last moment for them to go in. They have yet to push forward. Minefield will be the point of entry. Translocate comes out, but the reposition by Neats in the back. EMP still held onto. Horthic patiently and reserved to make sure it gets value, but the damage is being so significant for Northeastern. They've got to come in with it soon.
I mean, Horthic just can't find a way to get into this fight and use that EMP. He knows he has to find the Zenyatta with the Trance, but the Trance comes out early.
Oh, but the fact that they can just weather the storm right now, the lightning has struck. Horthic has to get out of there. The EMP comes out.
He got nothing!
No value from it. The Shatter doesn't even get anything. It's all falling to rubble as you've got Northeastern looking for the chance to completely eradicate all of Miami Redhawks on this point to swap it back. They've swapped it, they've cleaned it up, and they're now going to take this round one of Gardens.
Oh, just some desperation here. They do manage to get Jaybird back onto this point, but it's not going to be enough. What an unreal play as they're going to continue to stall as much as they can, but with the Sombra still here, with the rally, there's no chance in heck that Miami is going to be able to get back and secure this point. And I got to give huge credits to the way that Northeastern played that last fight. Just the amount of pressure they put onto Horthic, and they knew EMP was the thing they had to be worrying about. And they did not let Horthic set up at all during that last fight, and the EMP ended up getting zilch in terms of value. Fantastically played from Northeastern, who are one round away, Rich, from going to a deciding Map 6 tiebreaker of Lijiang.
Night Market is the place that they must give it their all, but Miami still in a position to be able to turn this back. The intensity for both of these teams continues to escalate, and Neats right now on the Doomfist is the focus right now to see what kind of variable change that could bring for Northeastern.
It does offer that one-shot potential and a lot of disruption, which is something that is good against these compositions like what Miami Redhawks are looking at. You're going to have to be looking at those immortality fields. Can they save those members? As here we go on the fight.
Brawl instantly opens up with the TPs from both
Sklee's
sides
dead.
to see who can get the value, and Sklee actually does go off the edge. I would say most likely from a boop that was given the advantage, or maybe just a wide swing that they didn't necessarily want, as Horthic now just continues to pepper in damage in the flanking position, and all of Northeastern has to bail.
100% a boop right there. That was definitely someone basically making it difficult for Sklee to get on there. And I think that this is now a great position for the Redhawks to be in. They can hold this line aggressively, and it's really on the onus of Northeastern Esports right now to TP and get someone in a position towards that backup.
And you can see so much being pummeled into that front shield for Northeastern on re-entry. Sklee having to do a lot with this Reinhardt play, and not— oh, Hirsch actually gets pinned in the midst of it. The immortality throw from Scoop once again, beautifully timed. Ant Matrix going forward. The health is just topping off the players, but they're still low. Neats comes back in, going for the backline aggression, but gets covered. Sklee comes in with a fire strike, though, is just exerting dominance up front. This is a bloodbath between the two. The percentage still climbs from Miami, and the grab should be able to secure that they keep it. But as I say that, you still have Northeastern taking it back.
Yeah, I mean, so much sustainability. They're coming in from Hirsch, who has just been— you don't see Reinhardt Winston compositions too much, but the amount of cleave that Hirsch is getting is absolutely unreal onto these backline members of the Redhawks. Sklee wasn't in that first fight, but man, did they make up for it with that double fire strike, and now Northeastern are the ones who have a bit of an advantage here. Here comes the Photon Barrier.
Great stuff early on with Tabanga, but there isn't a follow-through. CGS gets blue, and Neats finds the pickup. That is once again Northeastern being able to really aggress onto Miami, finding an early pick and snowballing with the rest of it.
Yeah, that's a fight done and dusted again, and now you see Miami Redhawks having to make some swaps here. They know that the Symmetra was just there for the Photon Barrier to try and win that. Now bringing in so much to try and counter this Doomfist. I mean, you're bringing in the Reaper and the Cassidy, heroes that are basically kryptonite for someone like Neats. Neats has to play a little bit safely, but luckily he has a Meteor Strike to work with.
And as that Meteor Strike, you can see Neats just hidden in the corner, waiting to look for this engagement. Actually decides not to stick around. Didn't feel comfortable with it. The pin comes in across the center, doesn't manage to get the value. Scoop taking down CGS is big, though, for an advantage so that they can continue piling up this percentage. Kabunga just gonna wait to use this Earth Shatter at this point. It's not favorable. Actually, no, they find a potential knockdown onto one, and they're taking this despite it.
That was so sick from Kabunga. He shattered, and the momentum from the jump from Hirsch took him off the map, and this might be what Miami Redhawks needs to move forward.
And you can see the energy so high for CCR. Looking around these corners, waiting for the Doomfist to come back in. They've put a lot of emphasis into shutting down Neats, which has worked out finally. They're still continuing to gain percentage, as we saw on Garden's map, and now it puts them into a final fight territory if they just swap it back.
Yeah, Northeastern Esports have it in their sights, that map 6, but Miami Redhawks are trying to say, no, we want to go to another round of this map and just secure the title here in map 5. Graviton Surge is available for the Zarya here. You're going to be looking at Hirsch to potentially try and eat that because you don't want that Graviton Surge getting a lot of value in that backline.
Looking to see who it's going to be dropped onto. It's multiple, just a single individual, but half the time it's perfect because Hirsch has the space. Starts coming in, locks it into the corner, and pulls them in.
Good shatter.
Comes in onto multiple. The immortality field is there from Bozix, but it can't keep them alive because Neats is still getting a massive value with Timid knocking off another, and they can swap it back now. It is final fight here for Miami Redhawks, but this is not looking well.
Final fight, and Timid still has the sound barrier to work with here. Northeastern don't really have too much else. Here comes Miami Redhawks back onto this point. Jaber gets taken out before he can even get to the point.
Stun onto 4. They have to get into the back position. You do have Horthic there. The sound barrier comes out to give fortification for Northeastern as they need to just swindle the last few. There is no way that Miami's going to be able to turn this over. That will be a completion.
That's it.
On Lijiang Tower. Northeastern has managed to make it a 2-2 map score, bringing us to a tie-breaking control map of a single round to decide it all.
The reverse sweep is potentially on the cards here for Northeastern Esports. 2-2 after 5 maps, and in a championship series, what more could you ask for at the end, going the full distance possible here. Massive props to Timid in that last fight, who got so many clutch boops, so many clutch picks. The sound barriers were perfect. Unreal performance that Northeastern is even back in this series after the way the first 2 maps went.
If you've been keeping track of this since week 1 of this 16 and then got here now and are tuning in, I can guarantee you that you did not anticipate that this was going to be the climactic ending that we get. I don't think anybody would have been able to write this any better, as this is that final moment now for a reverse sweep that you commented on is a absolutely mesmerizing demonstration of competitive play from a team to be able to dig deep, grasp every fiber of their competition, and just be able to do anything that they can to inch this out. And now the really challenging thing is, too, Kenobi, is we're going back to Lijiang Tower. We're going to the same one because, again, the tiebreaker map was Lijiang normally. So because they picked into it, now you're going to have to run it back again. And Miami has already not been able to take either of those, well, 2 of the 3. I'm mind blown.
It's heavily, and I say this heavily, it is heavily dependent on where we go in terms of the round of Lijiang. If we go to something like, you know, that's a little bit more enclosed and it's not Gardens or it's not Night Market, that favors Miami so hard because their rush composition will be favored. If it's the other 2 rounds that we just saw Northeastern win, Miami will be looking a little bit more scared. So that is going to heavily impact who we see as our champion. What map of Lijiang specifically do we go to?
It's all in the hands of RNG, random number generator of 3, my friends, rolling the dice and seeing what will land, and just, you know, taking a moment now to evaluate. Both teams have put up such a competitive front at this point, and Northeastern, one of their biggest things, though, has really been that they've, at least from both of these 2 rounds, just managed to get the upper hand slightly in the early aspects of it, where they're getting these early percentages to such high margins that they could play a little bit more methodical in the end of it and have to have Miami play more reactive. And if they can do that again, I think they could really clutch this one out.
And just to kind of explain to the audience a little bit, this isn't like a full like map 6. This is a tiebreaker round. This is a singular round, which is why I said that the map we go to in Control matters so much, because if it's Control Center, Miami gets a huge advantage because their brawl has been working out so well for them throughout the series, specifically those first 2 maps. If it's the other 2 maps that we just saw, I mean, we literally just saw Northeastern win those 2 maps, and I'd say rather convincingly as well. So it's really going to be up to what map round we get of Control and what is going to be offered by, the RNG gods.
And it's all because of that 2CP map. That draw has brought us to this moment and has forever changed the outcome as we are about to enter in to this final single sole round that defines everything, and it is the map that randomized to one that we have not seen and puts another added level of complexity to the outcome between both Northeastern and Miami.
I mean, this is best case scenario for Redhawks. You get the one that you didn't lose on, you get the one that's brawl favored. This is all Redhawks could have hoped for in a scenario like this, and you can see Northeastern Esports just have to realistically opt in to the brawl. They have no choice on a map like this, and Neats is going to be on that Junkrat. We saw Neats farm a Junkrat Riptire in 30 seconds on Anubis. Can they make a similar type of performance here as Northeastern versus Redhawks? It's all to play for on this one last round of Lijiang Tower.
And with Neats being on that Junkrat, I can't imagine that Miami is going to be able to just go up to this middle high ground easily.
Oh my god!
Oh wow, they early takedown onto CGS is a way to set this up and put your foot down. Northeastern has come out with a vengeance on this last round.
I mean, they came out swinging, and the thing about the composition from Miami Redhawks is they don't have the spam that Northeastern has. They don't have a way to break through both of these shields unless CGS is in a position where they can just continuously beam them, and with CGS going down that early, it basically makes it impossible for Miami Redhawks to win, and you can see them now trying to regress, but they're so low again! They don't have a way to get in!
This is just insult to injury. They're putting salt in the wound right now. Northeastern is playing this impeccably at the best possible outcome to start an engagement on multiple occasions. Miami is just having to go back to the drawing board in these desperate moments.
I mean, again, there's just so much spam, and Miami Redhawks don't have a secondary shield. They don't have something like a Diva. Spencer's on the Zarya, and if they can stay alive, they'll get a lot of value, but they don't have enough bubbles, and now they go to the Diva. A great decision, needing to be there to be able to eat that damage, and Ant Matrix comes out, but this is more time just taken off the clock. More percentage ticks up for Northeastern.
Rotating back into this at almost that 50% position. You've got to flux into this. Everyone is being caught out. The Immortality field also in the back to return to make sure that Northeastern isn't punished for the damage that still comes through. Repire from Neats finding a flanking position. Two! And once again sets another opportunity to punish Miami.
Oh, Neats has been playing out of their mind in these past 3 maps, 4 technically if you count this one, and Miami Redhawks, Horthic only at 50% towards their ultimate. The Doomfist has not gotten the value that they wanted, and their time is dwindling right now. Miami Redhawks have to make it happen here. 70%. The Shatter gets blocked!
No! It gets blocked, and there is only 1 stun in return on the backside. Northeastern attempting to try and do what they can defensively to mitigate that changeabout as you've got CGS entering with the Photon Barrier to divide this room. Sklee in the corner is just being knocked away and staggered out as you finally have Miami able to break this defense again to get some percentage on the board.
It's a sigh of relief here for Miami Redhawks. They're coming back into this with the Sound Barrier in their back pocket, have the sustainability. Horthic also is going to be able to get this Meteor Strike so it can play a little bit more aggressively without the threat of dying.
This Timid leading in into that sound barrier that's going to be very helpful for Northeastern to get back onto this point. But you can see Miami playing so cautiously, making sure that there's no possible setup here from Woe on this symmetric play, moving up to the position. Engagement!
Oh my god!
No! Neats gets a great pickup onto 2. Horthic and CGS get blown to bits in the close proximity of that Junkrat to swap it back. You have Miami now having to bail. They have to get back in for one last attempt in this 13 per seconds.
They have to stall him. CGS has gone over to the Tracer just to get someone to the point. Horthic has the Meteor Strike to ult themselves onto this point to proc overtime, but they found him.
Oh, in the open position, does get the combination to land. Meteor Strike is there. They're going
Neat's
to be
got
able
2
to keep
again.
it. Neats with 2 in the rip tire. That will be the nail in the coffin. Northeastern Esports has come out with an absolute dominant nature. They have unleashed the beast amongst their husky mascot. They have come together as one unit, the pack that will be able to shut down Miami Redhawks. They will not be able to spread their wings and find themselves in the dust as Northeastern completes the reverse sweep in an extra round of 1 to take this MAC ESC championship title.
I mean, what a performance from Northeastern Esports. Going from the amount of, I think, the way that they have been beaten down in those first 2 maps, and then coming back, winning that 3rd one with a convincing performance, surviving Anubis, and then coming into Lijiang and winning every single round just to make sure that they were the champions. And that's why they've been 12-0. That's why they were going through the bracket so much. Yes, it took them a little bit in this series against a very good Miami Redhawks team to win, but they managed to clutch it out, and that is championship mentality if I've ever seen it from a team.
Absolutely. There is no other way. Championship, just what a spectacle for us to get for this final game. And unbelievable to see how it just was able to navigate through this position. And, you know, Miami, major credit to them. You cannot at all undercut them for what they have been able to do to put forth this kind of competition. But Northeastern is truly a force to be reckoned with. And to just show that type of just ferocity is so commendable and is why they have managed to claim this title, Kenobi.
I mean, it's an incredible performance from them. I mean, going from not having ever been down 2 maps in a series, right? Never been down a series, actually, just entirely. It's just, and then for them to come back after halftime, being able to just reset themselves, get that Havana map win, and then use that momentum to move forward. I mean, huge props to the coaching staff as well. Temporal, I mean, you must have gotten them the best Capri Sun and orange slices that I was talking about earlier, because that was, I mean, that sustained them through the entirety of this reverse sweep. So big props again to Northeastern, who are your MAC champions.
If I ever have a hurdle in my life, I'm going to be getting some Capri Suns and oranges from wherever Northeastern gets them from. Let's be real, because that was unbelievable. And I can't even wait to see. We will be able to actually have an opportunity to speak with one of the players, potentially even one of the team, if they're all clustered together, to just get this, you know, insight of how they're feeling. Because even talking with Hirsch at the very top of the broadcast, we had a chance to talk to both teams, knowing that this is his last semester, also having the opportunity to say that he is able to be an influencer, a factor in claiming this Mid-American Conference win for their university, has got to also just be that added extra just cherry on top for them to be able to celebrate with the rest of the players.
I mean, it's always great when you can ride off into the sunset with the championship under your belt. So, I mean, again, full props to both teams. An amazing series. Couldn't think I could have asked for a better way to end this, you know, season that we've had so far. It's been absolutely phenomenal, and what a way to cap it off.
Yeah, I mean, 16 weeks, it's a long time. And we even commented, too, where, you know, 1 month worth of time can be so substantially different. But as we take the big picture of this entirety, Northeastern has really been able to show that they are a team that really isn't one to drop the ball and just somehow dig deep enough inside to be able to turn everything around. They, at this point, they're all the STEM academics. They all know the variables. They all know the stats. They probably in themselves are like, we know exactly what the percentage. I'm kidding. I'm totally not going to do that. They probably know a lot more mathematically than I do, or us, as we have many a times before struggled with our mathematicians.
Well, I mean, casters don't do math on stream. That's why
Yeah.
that's like a known rule for us. We do not ever break the sanctity of that rule, because you're never going to do it right. You're
Yeah.
never going to do it right. I don't care if you are a STEM major. Like, if you're doing math on broadcast, you are making a mistake.
I felt pretty good though, because we had that moment when we were on Temple of Anubis where it was 1 minute and 34 seconds, and I was like, that's 94 seconds. I feel good for that quick math, so I'll give myself a little bit of props. But for those sitting at home, you're probably face palming and saying, really, Rich, 60 plus 34, that's really not that hard. But when you're in the moment and you're talking about intense games like this, Kenobi, math doesn't work.
Math never works as a caster. But I mean, I think when I look back at this series, it was a lot of adaptation from a lot of the teams. I think that, at the start we had Miami Redhawks, who had such a good read on what Northeastern was trying to do, and then it was like kind of the rock paper scissors game that we have in Overwatch, where compositions kept changing, heroes kept changing. I think the adaptations from Northeastern were very good in the second half of the series, specifically, making those changes, knowing where the bread is being buttered for a team like the Redhawks, and then going to something that is going to be able to counter that.
And we actually do have, finally, after their excitement probably settles a little bit, we were getting them situated, we have Temporal here with us to be able to talk. Temporal, how are you feeling after what was an absolutely intense, just crazy 6-map series to complete off this 16-week championship?
Oh, do we have...
Unless they can't hear me, which is totally possible too.
We might not have Temporal.
They might not be able to hear me.
Temporal, hello.
It's okay. We're gonna see if we can get that.
Shout out to the scarf, Temporal.
I was just gonna make
really
the comment too. Looking good. Especially coordinating the color of the scarf and the headset. Like, if you notice that, that's also matching. See,
you
right?
also get the NIU colors. So I mean, that's also
right.
good.
Yeah, I know, right? Old alumni for me at least. But
yeah, don't worry, we'll get Temporal back to you as soon as we possibly can.
We just wanted to get the style check first. We just wanted to get the style check first.
We get that a little bit early, but I think, again, really big props to them, and big props to, I think, the entirety of Northeastern for. I mean, if there's a way to prove that you are championship material, it's coming back from a situation where you are 0-2 down in a series like that, and then coming back to reverse sweep into a map 6 deciding round. Like, I don't think that there's a better way that you could ask to win a championship and ask more of your players in a situation like that.
It's true. I mean, we already got to see the championships crowned with an upset, with Buffalo being able to take out Northeastern for the League of Legends ESC just this previous weekend, and now going into this week being able to see Northeastern be able to at least take this title. They got this one, so they still should feel pretty good managing to get this game title. And as a whole, we're gonna actually just get confirmation. Here we go. Let's try. We'll try it again, friends. Let's see. Let's get Temporal back in here. Can you hear us now, my friend? Yes, you can.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So because you couldn't hear me before, 16 weeks leading up to this moment, map 6, grand finals, championship winners. How you feeling?
Our hearts certainly got racing there. It was certainly exciting. We saw some of those, and it's like, oh, we could take this first map, and then, oh, that got away from us. And then the second map didn't look good. But every moment from then on was just heart racing. Every map, especially that Anubis, especially both of those Lijiang towers. It was just a wild ride for us.
So kind of talk me through, because you guys, you come out, first control's relatively close, and then second map, you guys get punched in the mouth. Let's be real here, Temporal.
For sure,
it was pretty convincing. And then so talk me through the mentality of going from that as a team, like you guys in this tournament at least haven't been down 2 games in a series before. How did you bring that back as a unit to go into map 3, map 4, map 5, and eventually the championship?
So they clearly had our number. They'd adapted. They'd gotten our number. We'd gotten reads on them. We knew they could play other things, but we knew that they'd have some level of brawl threat, because in the regular season, that was what they got off of us. They took it to the King's Row. They won that Brawl v Brawl there. We knew there was some threat of that, but we thought we could beat it with our ball. We've, got lots of practice against Scad, who usually runs a pretty good brawl, that sort of thing. So we thought, hey, we can do this, but it just wasn't working out. So we played a little counter triangle. We hadn't done a ton of of Double Shield recently, but we sort of rolled the dice and said we spent a lot of the first half of our season working on Double Shield. Let's go back to basics and make it happen. And fortunately, the Holts were on point. The target calling was on point. They properly got their bunkers and how they needed to threaten with either one, and it really took a while. At the very end of Anubis, you were seeing that Miami, Ohio had started to crack it, but it took long enough for them to get a read on, us falling back on our old comp that it was able to pull us through.
So then, we talk about, having to be able to adapt in the moment to make these changes, to go to those compositions that you have to critically go to that might have not had as much practice or preparation on because it was earlier in the season. Once you're getting now into this map of control, and you know that you're going to have back-to-back Lijiang towers and going into potentially another round of one that you've already claimed back-to-back, and then you see that third kind of differentiator. You're going into the one that was like, oh, okay, this is kind of a wild card. Like, how are you feeling in that last moment for that single and sole round to be the decider?
It actually didn't worry us because we had the Neats Junkrat. And, we just kind of know that we have the Neats Junkrat. Lijiang Tower, as we call it, is a bit of a Mickey Mouse map, especially Control Center, especially Night Market. And we just went, oh, okay, we'll just let the Neats diff show through. Having the Junkrat come out on the other side, the Doomfist come out on the other side, we'll absolutely take that in there as well. Hey, good for them, makes it a little easier for us. But we weren't worried, that loaded up, and it was kind of a sigh of relief.
So like kind of talk to me about Neats a little bit, because Neats like in the first two maps, I think like Horthic and CGS had their number a little bit, and then Neats comes out and farms Riptire in 30 seconds. Like, was that when you were like, we've turned it a little bit, like we've gotten our feet under ourselves, we can win this and bring it back?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Neats just got to be unleashed on what's really his favorite character there. We make him play a lot of Sombra to work into our ball comps. It works with some of our other players' strengths, what they want to do there. But yeah, as soon as we were able to do that with Neats, we thought, hey, wait a second, you have literally a 30-second tire here. Go grab a 2K with it. We knew we were going to be in okay shape from his perspective, at least.
Well, it showed. I mean, the Neats play was impeccable towards the end of it, and being such a huge factor among all of the individuals that were playing across it. Speaking either for them or for yourself, is there anyone you want to just shout out, or anyone that you want to thank in addition to your, like, you've been such a monumental factor for these individuals, but is there anyone that you want to also just thank as well?
No, I just want to thank the whole team. I mean, they really put in the effort this season. They worked hard. They absolutely, even with a little bit of a mid-season hiccup where things looked maybe a little worse than they did last season, they really buckled down even through some really tough midterms, some really tough approach to final projects, finals, things like this. These are all STEM majors working hard with really serious class schedules, but they kept finding ways to make the time and, get better little by little at, playing as the varsity team here.
Well, we greatly appreciate the performance that was demonstrated today. It put on a show for all of us, and it was one that definitely will be remembered, especially, I know, for Hirsch, who is having their last semester as well. So that'll be a nice little benefit to walk out this season and this semester with a win before they move on to greater things, being a STEM major, like you said. So thank you so very much for your time, and what a unbelievable show that we had in front of us, my friend.
It was fantastic. And, we're happy we could put on that show. We're happy we could walk out with the win. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Temporo.
Oh, friends, and those that are tuning in, it is now towards the final portion of this where we get to have our heart settle. Our breath becomes a little bit more paced, and we can really just evaluate how amazing today has been, Kenobi. And we have to give major shout out and thanks to eFuse, who, has worked with ESC to help build and create the schedules, handled all the player and team communications, just tracking and organizing all of the scores and reporting. There's so many dynamics to it that they, have their hand in to really allow these stories to be told of the teams and the players and bring this type of level of entertainment. The last final moments to go to an extra inning of a map 6. We really, truly could not ask for anything better, my friend.
I mean, it's been a fantastic end to the story, right? The chapter closing on, what is potentially one of the best series that I've cast in Collegiate, where you have a team, that hasn't lost yet, never went down 2 maps, is down 2-0, and then just comes back and says, look, we're going to be able to take this thing all the way to a reverse sweep, map deciding round of Control Center on Lijiang in a map 6, and just what a way, again, to cap things off in a fantastic way. Wonderful story for these Northeastern guys. Hirsch gets to ride off into the sunset with the championship under their belt. And I mean, to be credit to Miami Redhawks as well. Absolutely phenomenal series. There's a reason they were top 16 in the national championship, just falling a little bit short. But again, full congrats to Northeastern, who are your champions.
And with that being said, after 16 weeks, we finally say a farewell for this spring season, and we cannot go without saying thank you so much to our amazing production, Cinzia, Nico, and also Reef, who've been on the back end of it, everyone else on the outside of just production who has been help coordinating this, those individuals, Daniel, and among so many others, Tobarama, a ton of them. The list could go on, but we have to truly wish you a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you so very much for your time. It was an exciting moment to be here with all of you, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, happy gaming, and we'll see you next time, friends.